Welcome back. Today is Tuesday, 30th day of July, 2013. Let's take a quick look at the numbers. The Dow up 25 points, S&P up 4.5, comp up 28, gold up, no, down, $3.90, make that $4.10, crude down $1.47. Those are the numbers. So, if you're joining us for the very first time, welcome. Glad to have you here. You should be able to hear my voice as well as see my charts if you so desire. If it's your first time, you may not be fully logged in yet. Go to the home page at cfrn.net. On the right-hand side, click the big microphone. That'll take you to a page with instructions. You'll be able to log in, see the charts, and participate in the discussion. Now, tomorrow is the last day of July. And so here's how it's going to work. Tomorrow, during the radio program, I am going to create the new link for the month of August. Those of you who've been around a while know that we each have to register once a month to be able to come into the radio program, see the charts, and participate in the discussion. Just once a month, and then you get an email every day that tells you, hey, the show starts at noon, click here when you're ready to join. So tomorrow, during the broadcast, the last day of July, I'll create the link, I'll make it live, and tomorrow, during the radio broadcast, you can go, click that link, get registered, boom, you're good to go for the entire month of August. Hard to believe that I'm actually saying those words because 5 minutes ago, I was telling you the same thing about July. Time flies, and well, here we are. So, with that, we're going to scoot right on over to our good word for the day. That's what we do every day. We open this radio program with our good word. We then take a look at the chart of the S&P 500 Emini futures, any other charts that are important. We then do a recap of our live trading room. We trade live every day for 2 hours, real time, real money, in front of real people, just like you. There's often confusion about, well, wait a minute, is this the trading room or is this the radio? Where am I? Who's on first? All right. Every day from 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., we trade live in our live trading room with the CFRN partners and anyone who happens to be taking a free trial. Okay? Then we break for 30 minutes. Then we come to 2 hours of live radio, now in our 8th year, the very stuff that made us famous. So, you can take the free trial. You can watch us trade live. You can ask all the questions you want. Use our platform, use our indicators. And if you've already done that, you've already become a partner, well, then the only thing left for you to do is just come hang out with us here every day on the radio program. And if you took the free trial or you're taking the free trial, and if it ends up that you don't become a partner, by all means, we still want you to come hang out with us here on the radio program. We still want you to be a part of the CFRN community. Our radio station streams 24/7. It has now for 8 years, God willing. We've only just begun. So getting over to that good word, and then after we do all of that, we go to Las Vegas, Nevada, talk to David Williams from PageTrader.com and Miss Robin Dane, the trading coach, both of whom will be with us later in the program today. And our good friend Mike Reed, he's working on a schedule that will allow him to come and be with us every Tuesday and every Thursday, and for a specific amount of time. In other words, he's going to make arrangements with his own schedule so that he'll be able to hang with us until about 1:15. So I'm looking forward to that. Good word for the day comes from 1 Kings 3:7. Now, O Lord, my God, you have made your servant king in place of my father David. But I am only a little child and do not know how to carry out my duties. Did you ever feel that way? Did you ever wake up one day and realize you were like, a man of a certain age, but yet you still kind of felt like a kid? I mean, you're expected to do all these grown-up things like go to work and earn a paycheck and balance your checkbook and pay the bills and buy cars and houses and all this other stuff. But did you ever feel like, man, really? Because I'm still just this little kid inside, to a degree, right? But Paul schools us on putting away, our toys and being the men that God called us to be. But this scripture is, I want you to hear it one more time. Now, O Lord my God, you have made your servant king in place of my father David. But I am only a little child and do not know how to carry out my duties. I'm just going to be honest with you. I find myself many a day in prayer, okay, saying that very thing to God. Not that I've been made king, but that, God, you have called me to do these different things in my life, and I'm just not always sure how to go about it. And so that's where trust, faith, and dependence on God to see you through, to guide you and direct you by the power of the Holy Spirit is so important in our life. Now, we're going to spend the next 6 days on this radio program, the first few minutes of each show, reminding ourselves about the brilliant leadership of Solomon. My prayer is that we all learn from him again and again. I got a little bit ahead of myself yesterday, and what should have been the second day, I actually made it the first day. So that's just how I roll. All right, so here we go. Think back to the time when you finally got out of the military or college, you were taking that first job. Or maybe it was when you had your first child, and all of a sudden you realized you had to, pull up your pants and act like an adult. Now, when I say pull up your pants, you know how kids walk with their pants dragging the ground these days. Pants on the ground, right? Okay. Just I want to make sure you follow me there. Okay. I'll never forget those feelings when I finished my stint in the military. Got married, did all the things that, I was supposed to do. And sometimes I would just, wake up a little freaked out. And to this day, some many years later, I wake up and I'm supposed to be an adult, but I feel like a kid. And I keep thinking that's going to change. At 30, I figured, well, it'll change by the time I'm 30. And it'll change. It'll certainly, of course, I'll feel like a grown-up at 40. Well, and then, you add another decade, and will I go to my grave feeling like a child in so many respects? Well, anyway, this isn't about me. This is about Solomon, you. This is what Solomon felt when he was unexpectedly and suddenly called to be the king of all Israel. He felt overwhelmed. Yet, he had all this responsibility. He was called to lead a great nation that began with Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph, a nation with extraordinary godly leaders like Moses, Joshua, and even his own father, David. Solomon reflected on all of this and said, I feel like a little child. Now think about that for a minute. Children are utterly dependent on their parents. So Solomon, since his earthly father had died, spoke to his heavenly Father. All he could say was, I feel as a little child. He expressed an utter dependence on his heavenly Father. Now that's not a bad place for a king to begin. And it's not a bad place for all of us to be either. Approach your life as a little child, completely dependent on your Father. And I promise you, friend, He will provide. He'll not disappoint. And with the faith of a child, we can live like mature adults. That's our good word for the day. So let's move to the charts. Oh, question in the chat box already. Any news on Frank's condition? For those of you who've been around any length of time, you know that Frank's a great friend of this radio program and a CFRN partner. And Pete, what we did this morning during the morning devotional, which, by the way, great time to plug the daily devotional. Every morning, guys, at 9 a.m. Eastern, we do a conference call. People call in from around the country, around the world if they want to, and for 20 minutes, we lay it all down. We don't talk about work or, you know, well, unless that's the subject of prayer, but it's not about trading. It's just about the things of God. We pray one for another. We pray for the sick. We fellowship for 20 minutes before we start our day in the workplace. You're invited to join us, and I've already put the link into the chat box. But this morning, Frank's in the hospital having some surgery, and this morning we put it on the speakerphone. Well, actually, I did a conference call from we're already on a conference call. This is how cool technology is. Using my iPhone, I was on a conference call with all these people, and then we conferenced in Frank's phone. He didn't answer. We got his voicemail, but we were able to leave him a message, pray for him, and different ones had a chance to wish him well. So he's in the hospital room, and at some point today, he will check his voicemail, and there'll be all these voices wishing him well. So it was just kind of a special moment in time. And this special moment in time brought to you by technology. Thanks, iPhone. You've made my life so much smoother. Really has. Can you imagine life without text and telephones with cords? Really? A cord? Yeah. I remember as a kid, you know, you'd send somebody to the store to get something. Oh, but you forgot to tell them to get the milk. There was no way to reach them. I mean, you could call the grocery store and have them paged, right? And then you'd get a scolding when they came home because they were very embarrassed that their name was called out on the loudspeaker, right? I mean, that's within my lifetime. We've seen this incredible amount of change. I don't take credit for it, but it has happened. It has happened in my lifetime. I don't know. It's just amazing. I'm truly amazed by it. Anyway, if you have a prayer need, a prayer request, or a praise report, man, join us tomorrow morning or any day you can for 20 minutes. It is just a great way to start the day. And as soon as I have more information on Frank, I asked him on the call this. I said, please call me and let me know how you're doing. And hopefully he will be able to do that today. And just everyone, please continue to keep Frank in your prayers. Okay? All right. Okie doke. Now, the chart. S&P 500 E-mini futures. This is the hourly chart. Now, these little lines are daily separators. I got to move this one for just a minute because I want you to see this candle, okay, this wick. See that? Now, when I put the daily, you know what, I'll just get rid of that daily separator for the moment. How about that? There we go. So, this is the Globex Open Sunday night. We came right down into the zone here at 82.83. We had a tweet that never got triggered on the upside here. And this wick, we ended up right in the zone, sideways, for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 hours. We finally put out a tweet yesterday morning that did get triggered to consider being short below 1679. I think we actually put that out during the live trading room, as I recall. That came down. It did give us 2.5 points as the crow flies. Now, I wrote about this in detail last night on our Facebook page, so you can go out and read that if you'd like. And by as the crow flies, what I mean is, in a straight line, 2.5 points. No real drawdown to speak of. but there was not a textbook slingshot entry on this trade. It just didn't develop. So does that mean you can't take the trade? No, it doesn't mean that at all. In fact, let me just show you real quick. This would be 800 hours on the 29th. Let's go look at that. Put a man on the moon, but navigating this thing is still challenging. Okay, here we go. This is it, right? Yeah. The 29th, 0800. Okay. So here's what happened. Price came down through the tweet at 79. That's this price right here, 1679. Okay. Just make it real clear. Tweet. 1679. My comment, as the crow flies. See, price did go down all the way to the zone. We got a weekly trading zone. Actually, the zone's a little bit below there. This is where it turned. Let me go back. See, right here. Boom. All right. Boom. That's a technical term, by the way. So up here, this is where the transfer of power took place, right there. We are able to define to the tick who's in control at any moment in any market, okay? And right there, the sellers or the bears took control of the ball, okay? They're now running that thing downfield, okay? Is there a trade right there where the transfer of power takes place? There is. But it's a little more complicated, perhaps a little more sophisticated than the basic slingshot setup. And, you know, that's probably not a good way of describing it. It is, here's a good way of explaining it. That trade is very subjective. The slingshot is not subjective in any way. There's no ambiguity. It's not nebulous. The slingshot has 5 steps. And once all 5 steps, you go down the list, check, check, check. And once you've checked everything off, you know the entry price, long or short, to the tick. It's not an area. It's not an idea. If price comes within 1 tick of that entry price, then it's not a trade for us. We don't count it. We don't calculate it. We don't chalk it up. It either touches the price or it doesn't, okay? So this trade, beautiful trade from up here at 81 and a half, 81 and a quarter, all the way down to 76, 75. A really nice trade. However, the slingshot itself, that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps, that takes all the ambiguity out, it just didn't develop. Now, down here, finally, all of the criteria was met down here, okay? Bearish cross, step 1. Price pulls away, step 2. Price pulls back, step 3. Check for divergence, okay? Now, when we check for divergence, we see that the cycle line has changed colors. In other words, on a bearish trade, we like it to be red. I like it to be red, but sometimes it'll turn blue on its way back up. And when it does, that adds another step. When the cycle turns blue on this pullback, we then need to have a down close below the trend line. That's all that changes. See, if the cycle line had stayed red on this trade, then all we would need would be a down close. But because the cycle changed to blue, we need a down close below the little trend line. So what's that all about? It's giving us added confirmation, okay? Because we want to create the highest probability setup that we possibly can. And it takes all of these different steps, and if there's any question, then we tighten it again, okay? Now, this is all written out. This is something you'll be taught as a partner. You'll never be left wondering, was this a trade or was it not a trade? All you got to do is go down the checklist, and you can determine if it's a trade, and if so, what the entry price is to the tick. Not just after the fact, but as it's unfolding, see? As it's unfolding, you know if it's a trade or not, and where the entry price is. So here, all right, we needed a down close below the trend line. Well, we didn't get a down close below the trend line until this candle right here. The black step line had worked its way up into this green line, which is what we call the BBC, bull bear cross. Okay? It's exactly what it sounds like. When price is below the green line, the bears are in control. And when price is above the green line, the bulls are in control, the buyers. Okay? Bull bear cross line. Very easy. As I said, we know who took control right here to the tick, but that trade is ambiguous. This trade, no ambiguity. Now, this trade was negated as soon as the black line, the step line, works its way up into the green line. If we have not already entered the trade, then the trade is void. The setup is no longer valid, and then we move on and look for the next setup. My point is this. The slingshot is not only good at putting you into a high probability trade, it is also very good at keeping you out of an environment that no longer has high probability. If it never put you in a single trade, if all it was capable of doing was keeping you out of trades that don't represent a high probability environment, well, it would certainly be worth the price of admission. But it does both. Twofold. Puts you into trades that have a high probability, keeps you out of trades that don't. Okay? So, with that, let's move on. Price comes down, gives 2.5 points, or a day's pay, as we like to say, as the crow flies, turns around, goes back up to the weekly trading zone, goes sideways for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, get a little bit of a pop, not much, and then we come back to test the zone again for support. Okay? And then, of course, no day would be complete if I didn't do this and this. And now we're getting ready to do this. Because as you may have already noticed, we already did this and this and that. See how that works? Move, retrace, move, retrace. Now we're just waiting on this continuation. If price breaks down, if it gets below this zone at 82, we're going to look left. We're going to look at this. More importantly, we're going to look at this. Because we want to be short below this low and the next zone, as long as there's at least 2 points of room to run. If there's not, we pass. The tweet we had last night that did not get triggered was up here at 89. Okay. We had a spike high. That thing got up to 88.5. So we came within 2 ticks of getting triggered in, but we didn't trigger in. So, no trade. Now, I commented on the blog, and when I tweeted it last night, is that if we do get triggered in at 89, I said be prepared to take some or all profit as early as 91. Why? Well, because that's all the room to run there was. Turns out it didn't matter because we never got triggered into the trade, but if we it had triggered, see at 89 right here, we want to take some or all profit by the time we hit the zone, because when we do hit that zone, we expect it to be good resistance. Okay? Just as we expect this to be good support until it's proven otherwise. It's been great support all week. I realize today's just Tuesday, with the exception of this little blip right here. And this is kind of an anomaly, because on this blip, it should have taken us down to the next zone below, but it didn't. A little bit of a tell in there. If you're a poker player, you know what a tell is. And maybe we'll talk about that a little more later in the show. Yesterday, I was asked about the YM, pay to win. You talk a lot about the S&P and the weekly trading zones, and that they tend to be fairly accurate, and they are, and thank you very much for saying that. But what about the Dow? You do zones for the Dow. Are they accurate? So I put up the Dow zones from last week yesterday, and we can see that they did a pretty good job of going from zone to zone to zone, back up to the zone, and now I'm getting into next week here. This was the beginning of last week. Zone, down to the zone, back up to the zone, down to the zone, and then Friday, back up into the zone. Okay? What I'm going to do during the recap, which we're going to right now, and we're just going to do a few minutes of the recap, as much as I can squeeze in, and I'm going to change out these for this week's YM zones. And we'll take a look at how we're doing so far this week in the Dow in regards to the weekly trading zones. Now, for those who don't know, the weekly trading zones are areas in the market that we believe price action will pause, consolidate, coil, and make a decision whether or not it's going to advance to the next rung on the ladder overhead, or is it going to retreat and go back to the level below. Okay? Because it's always going to do one or the other. Once price hits a zone, like it's done here, it's either going to go here or here. There are very few absolutes in trading, but I assure you, before close of business on Friday, and possibly today, price will either go here or here. Now, again, these are last week's zones, so don't take me literally on that. I'm going to put the current zones up for the YM, and we'll look at those here in just a few minutes. But for now, let's get on over here to the recap. We'll look at about 5-10 minutes of that. Then we'll head out to Las Vegas, Nevada, visit with David from Page Trader and Miss Robin Dane, the trading coach. So stand by as I switch out my screens. Here we go.
All right, good morning. This is the 30th day of July 2013. This is Michael, the live trader. This is Michael from CFRN. Obviously, I'm going through all these things that I always go through. So far, on the month of July, we are up $6,012.50. Yesterday, on the 29th of July, we were up 14 on soybeans, 8 on the Russell, 11 on the crude. We're -8 on gold and -7 on copper. Yesterday, it took us 67 minutes and 6 trades to get to $115 a contract, and we had a total of 14 trades overall on the day. Okay, we are at a gross of $6,012.50 per contract for the month of July. A net, if you'd assume an $8 per turn commission, a net of $3,868.50. And the number to beat is this one right here. By the end of the day tomorrow, by the end of the live trading room tomorrow, we need to make $280 or $281. That's it. If you've not taken a free trial with us, go to www.cfrn.net/apply. Sign up for the free trial. In the free trial, you get access to our live trading room. You get access to all of our indicators sets. You can get access to Dwayne and myself. You get access to everything but the members area and the partners meetings. We have a couple of trades setting up right now. One on crude oil, one on gold. There was one that triggered over here on the ES a little while ago, about an hour ago. Triggered here on the ES. But we have right here on the crude oil, I'm going to go long at 366. Well, hold on. Okay, I'm going to try 367. Okay, I just filled them long at 103.67 on crude oil. Okay, there it goes, and oops, hang on. My stop is at plus 4 ticks, plus 5 ticks. And my stop's sitting at plus 5 ticks on this right now. And I'm out with plus 5 ticks on crude. Right. So I jumped in at 67, and I got out at 72 right there. It's setting up another trade right here. Okay, we're setting up another trade as we talk. An up close on current bar would be in other trade. This bar has got a low of 73 and have a high. Well, now it's got a low of 72. It'll have a high of 76. It's got the full 4 ticks range in it. So it's just a matter of whether it's going to close up or down. Okay, if it closes up at 76, that's another long trade. If it closes down like it just did, then we're going to move our trend line. Okay, or just draw a new one. Draw a new trend line. Like that, so far. This trend line is not done until that bar closes, but that's what it looks like right now. All right, we have some nice bullish divergence down here with a blue cycle. So if we get an opportunity, we'll jump back into that. All right. Let me fill my ticket. All right. Over here on gold right now. Okay, that is the trend line over here now. Over here on gold, we need an up close above this trend line. Okay, an up close above that trend line is what we're looking for on the gold. All right. Well, while I'm talking about this stuff, let me cover stuff that we did yesterday. Let's do soybeans. I'm going to throw the gold right here on. Okay, an up close on this bar would be a long trade. 23.9 would be the spot for that. 23.9 would be the spot for that. If it maintains 23.5 as the low, 23.9 would be the spot on the high side. Okay. Let's just see here what it's going to do. Well, yeah, I want to be able to pull the trigger here if we get the up close, but we're not there yet. Almost there. It's suggesting it's going to move up. Oops. There it is right there, guys. I'm in at 23.9 on the gold. Long 23.9 on the gold. Okay, one more tick. There it is. Stop at break even on the gold. When I get 4 ticks profit or I close on the other side of the MA1, I move my stop to break even. So my stop is sitting at break even right now on the gold. There it is at break even. Okay, so I've got no risk on the trade, and hopefully it's just going to shoot up about 80 or 90 ticks. All right, I just locked in 5 ticks on the gold, 7 ticks on the gold. Ooh. I was kidding about the 80 or 90 ticks. I just got out with 10 ticks profit on the gold. Sorry, I moved it up too fast and it came and smacked me. But I got out with 10 ticks profit on the gold, I think. Oh, no, wait a minute. Sorry, that was not 10 ticks. That was 20 ticks. It's not 10 ticks, it was 20 ticks. All right. And Eugene is saying we should roll a gold. Matt just got 20 ticks on that too. Good. All right. Well, there's our 2 points for the day. Here's my gold. I know it says 103 ticks, but that's because I left an order on yesterday. I know, hard to believe, huh? All the trading I do, I made a mistake. And it worked out in my favor. Okay, so we picked up 20 ticks on that. Pete, you got 23. Excellent. I thought it was 10 because I was just looking at the 0.9 part of it, because that's where I entered. I wasn't looking at the beginning. And Paul, you got 25. Awesome. That's the way to start the day. So you guys are all done for the day now, right? Everybody's done for the day? I was in at 3.9 and I was out over here at 5.9. That was it. That's good. So an 11-minute day. That's the kind of work day you want to have. Rod, you got 23. Thomas got 26. Awesome. Awesome. So you guys are all just going to switch to sim now? Get out of your live accounts. All right. All right. Well, let's see. I have to finish my recording. I just recorded all that, so I do have to finish recording. I wanted to cover the soybean trades from yesterday. Now I've moved these blue and red lines around a little bit, so I adjusted them for today already, but they were pretty close to the same thing yesterday. All right, on soybeans, this is what I'm expecting. Given where we're opening, here's an upside, and there's another upside above that I've already put in. And on the downside, if we have trouble right here, because it has had trouble here, if we have trouble with that level right there, then I would look for it to get down here. Okay. So we could have some big moves. There's not a lot of room on the upside right here, right now anyway, but there is a lot of room on the downside. I have to check the volume on the gold. I am being told that we should check the volume on the gold and possibly roll over to December. So we would be on the Z. Yeah, I'm telling you, Pete, the right click for the stops is the way to go. You just got to remember to clean it up. I mean, that's why I ended up with all the ticks that I have right now on the gold, because I didn't clean one up yesterday. So I'm actually, but anyway, I was going to show you soybeans from yesterday. All right, soybeans yesterday were up 14 ticks. 14 ticks on the beans yesterday. Let's see, let me scroll back. These are our trades, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, that's right. Let's see, the day started off right here. We missed this trade and this trade on the soybeans. This was yesterday. Yeah, we missed this trade and this trade on the beans. It came down, it reversed right up here off of these levels. I think we had drawn in these levels yesterday as well. And it reversed off of these levels and gave us a shorting opportunity in here. We took a little bit of profit on the first one. We took more profit over here on the second one. We missed this beautiful trade right here, this nice big long one. We missed that one. Took a little bit of profit again on this one and a break even on this one. We ended with plus 14 ticks overall. I think this one was probably 5 or 6 ticks. This was 5 or 6 ticks, and this was 2 or 3 ticks overall. That was our day on soybeans yesterday. Okay, let's do this. You know what? I'm not going to take another trade on gold right at the moment, but let me do the ES. We didn't trade the ES yesterday, but I believe we had a spot where we were saying it coincided with a tweet that Dwayne had, which is right in here. All right, this was not an actual trade that I took, so I got to take all these yellow arrows off. But at the end of the show yesterday, at the end of the live trading room yesterday, we had a thing there that said to go short right there. Now for us, you would have gone short and you would have moved your stop to break even right here, and you would have been out of that break even. Then it changed directions and you would have gotten long here for the ride into the weekly trading zone. Other than that, yesterday we didn't have anything. Okay, we didn't have anything on the ES. So far today, though, This was even before the partners hour here. This up closed right here with a bullish divergence at 86.5. Okay. If you were awake at that time and you traded that thing, then you should have your stop at break even on that. Right. The next one down I have for yesterday was gold. So we just made up all of yesterday today with gold. Now, let's see. Yesterday we had one loss right here on gold. We went long right here and we lost 8.6. Okay. I don't remember there being a lot of trades that we missed or anything like that yesterday. There just wasn't as many opportunities as there normally is. All right. There was one right here that we missed. There was one right in here, that we missed. And one over here that we took that was a break-even trade toward the end of the day. And I guess there was another one right here that we missed yesterday. Okay, those were the trades. Those were the trades on gold. We just didn't have as many opportunities as we normally have yesterday. And we've already made up for it today. Okay, I'm sure your question right now is, was there a way to get into this move? And the answer is, well, yeah, there was, but there wasn't any divergence left by the time you got this up close. All right, but look for a better move right now. All right, I don't know what's happening with gold right now, but this is what you look for. Okay, this is what you look for. And it's pulling back, giving us the divergence. Now let's just take a look at this one over here. Right, this is for the partners more than anyone else. You guys see anything particular about this that this and this that we went over in the partners meeting? We got the up close. It was a momentum move. We got the up close above the trend line. We only had one discolored bar in here. It went right back to the orange. Down here, all three lines. Look at the divergences on that stuff. All right. While I was doing that, we just missed another little move over here, which would have been right there. All right. It did put in a higher swing, so if it pulls back again, we can draw another trend line. We can take another long trade. All that sort of stuff. Right now, we can draw that trend line, unless this bar closes down, which I hope it does, actually. All right, let's see. We need an up close. We need an up close right here. On this bar. It's got a low of 27.9. It would have, okay, good. That's what I wanted to see anyway. I really didn't want to see the up close there. I want to see a deeper pullback. Unfortunately, the cycle is dropping down with it. It's dropping down too far, too fast. So we're not going to be able to take any more gold trades. But, so for yesterday's recap, we've done beans, gold, and the ES. Let's do the crude from yesterday. Okay. Crude oil yesterday, we had a few trades on that one.
Okay, guys, I'm going to pull the screens back over at this point. You can go out and finish watching that recap in its entirety. And hang on. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. Okay? All right. Let me get a window. Window, please. Couple ways you can pull this off. Let me show you one. Let's go to our website, cfrn.net. On the right-hand side of the page, right up here, view live trading room results. Okay, we tend to run a couple days behind getting these over to the site, which is a lot better than it used to be. We used to run a couple weeks behind, but we've got some help now, and so it's made it easier. Let me bear with me. I'm trying to close out this window over here and having an issue. My issues are having issues. Stand by. There we go. Okay. That takes care of that. And that takes care of that. Okay. Now you have my undivided attention. Okay. So here we go. Let's see. We are caught up through yesterday. Wow. Boy, hard to get good help, but apparently we scored. So, right here. Boom. Just go to the site. Now, if you want to catch the one we were just watching, the 30th. Wait, today is the 30th. I think we are completely caught up. But anyway, you could go to youtube.com, Emini Futures Trading. Okay, that's one of our YouTube channels, and it would be under recent uploads. Okay. Now we have another YouTube channel as well. I'm not trying to be greedy or anything. It just worked out that way. youtube.com/CFRN. And these go back, there's a lot of information here. Now this is not there's all of this available to the public on the YouTube channels and on our website. But in addition, the partners have access to our video training library, which is about 250 hours, and our live trading room video library, which is about 250 hours of actual live trading. That's one trade after another, 250 hours. If you become a partner, see, when I was trying to learn how to trade Emini futures, man, I begged somebody to let me watch them trade live. I couldn't find anybody. I mean, I could watch videos, but you know, you never really know what you're seeing. You know. So anyway, I begged. I said, I got money. I'll pay. I'll sharpen pencils. I'll make the coffee. I'll bake the donuts. Whatever. Somebody, please, let me watch you trade live so I can learn how to do this thing. Well, that was 2005, 2006. The only person that allowed me to actually watch them trade live was Mike Reed. And because his training program was not set up for a live trading room, it was for a very brief period of time, and it was kind of I sort of pleaded with him, and for 30 days he did allow people to watch him trade. And so anyway, this is a long time ago, and it just didn't work out for him because Mike is a very intense trader. He trades bell to bell. Okay, he's fully focused, fully engaged with his trading. And so it was a real hindrance to have all these people watching over his shoulder and asking questions when he was trying to, trade and earn a living. So that's why he didn't continue doing that. But there was that little window of time that I was able to watch him trade live. But other than that, I spent years wandering in darkness. So that's why I think it's just so beneficial to the partners to have not only the live trading room every day where you can watch live trades today, but hours on end you can watch until there's just so much to learn. Stuff that we can't convey in a book, or there's no way to convey it other than for you to see it with your own eyes as it unfolds. Real trades with real money in real time in front of real people. So the public has access to 2 YouTube channels of our work. Partners, you have 250 hours of training videos, 250 hours of live trading videos, live trading. And that all begins, when you take the free trial by going to cfrn.net/apply. No obligation, no credit card, just a desire to learn how to trade. If you have a desire to learn how to trade Emini futures, we're here to help. Okay? Are we the best traders on the internet? Probably not. Are we the most transparent? I'm going to say we're as transparent as any. We try to be. That's what we've given up on, like, being, trading, superstars. That's not in our kepi, as my old friend Gary used to say. That's not even in my kepi anymore, to try to be some trading superstar. Okay? We just want to have a plan, and we want to be very excellent at following our plan. It's like I told you about with our trade setup, the slingshot. It's got those 5 steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? No ambiguity. Entries to the tick. Now that we've defined that, now please don't take that lightly, because those little 5 steps, that's the culmination of, it's mine and Michael's combined life's work in Emini Futures. So that's a lot of time, a lot of hours, a lot of money, a lot of late nights, a lot of early mornings, a lot of stuff in those 5 steps. And that's not even the important part. The important part comes after the 5 steps. But anyway, my point is there's a lot available. This can be learned. You're going to have to work hard. It's not easy. Okay? If it were as simple as, downloading some indicator off the internet, paying $99.97, and then just cashing fat paychecks one after the other, well, let's face it, everybody would do it. The reason everybody doesn't do it is because it is difficult. It does take work and focus and discipline. A lot of other things. Doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means you got to really want it. You got to really want it, man. And so that's how you take the free trial. Come do it. Hang out. Use our platform. Use our indicators. Trade alongside of us for 5 days. And if you want to become a partner, awesome. If not, you can still come hang out on the radio with us each and every day, hopefully for the next 8 years, right? We're now in our 9th year of broadcast. That is amazing. Hey, Bill, I just got a message from you in the website chat. Oh, okay, Bill. I can't do it right this second, but I will take care of it for you. Let me type you a message. I will take care of it on the show. All right. With that said, we got to get out of here. We got to skedaddle. We got to get up and get moving. This is our website. You know all about that. I was going to show you a bunch of other stuff. Maybe I'll show you later during the after show. But we got to get out to Vegas, talk to David Williams from Page Trader and Miss Robin Dane, the trading coach. Do not touch your radio dial, because we're coming right back at
you. You're listening to CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living. To learn more about who we are, what we do, and how we do it, call toll-free 1-866-928-3310, and we'll send you out a no-obligation information kit absolutely free. 866-928-3310.
Good morning, Dwayne.
David, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
And good morning, Miss Robin.
And good morning. It's a fabulous day here in sunny Las Vegas.
It sure is.
I was waiting for my bell.
I can feel it all the way down here in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah.
It is a beautiful day out here in Las Vegas, and it is a moderate day. It might be 103 later today or so, but we've had a little softening of our weather, which is nice. You know, we're not in such a position where we have to worry about the 117 temperature day. So
I do want to say that yesterday was I'm sorry that I wasn't here. I don't know if you mentioned to everybody, but we had a search and rescue officer last week get killed on the mountain.
You know what, you had told me in detail, and then yesterday I couldn't remember why you said you couldn't be here, but so tell them, please.
Yeah, we had a search and rescue officer on the regular, not on our team, on the regular Las Vegas Metro team, went in to do a rescue on Mount Charleston in the dark. I mean, just absolute pitch darkness. Hiker fell, and they were trying to get him out of a place. And they went down, harnessed him, and the rescuer was on the line with him. And as they were hoisting them up, the rescuer somehow, nobody knows exactly yet, they're still under investigation what happened, but the rescuer fell to his death and they hoisted the hiker into the helicopter, took him off, but they lowered down another officer to the rescuer, to the other rescuer, and he, I guess, was still alive at the time. And it was a very, very sad thing. That night, all of the officers, all I saw was a whole bunch of motorcycles coming down from the mountain, and he had passed away after he dropped 50 feet. And so yesterday was the service in Las Vegas, which was extraordinary, of 3,000 people at the church, and then a procession that was the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. With it, if you were a robber in Vegas yesterday, that's when you wanted to be out, because I didn't know there were so many officers and police cars and motorcycles and people on horsemen and military, and I mean, it was just every organization possible was out there supporting the family. They hoisted this enormous, enormous American flag as they came into the funeral area with two huge hook and ladders, you know, as far out as you could extend this hook and ladder to hoist this enormous flag that they drove under, and then just a 21-gun salute, and then they did a flyover with the helicopters, with one helicopter leaving the pack, and it was just the most amazing thing. So I was very privileged and honored to be part of the support team that helped with this whole endeavor. I was in charge of buses yesterday. So I was in charge of carting people from the parking area that they closed off the streets and sending them off to where the ceremony was, and it was extraordinary. And I have to say that, you know, if you don't really realize what these police, fire, and search and rescue people do for you, you should really, really, you know, do something great for them, because these guys put their lives on the line. And
yeah, they really do.
It's amazing, you know, and nobody even knows who the hiker was at this point. They haven't let out the name of the hiker or anything, and I think the hiker's okay, but they were badly injured, so I don't know how okay they are. And but they leave behind a family, and it just was extraordinary. I'd never seen anything like it. And people on the street, when they actually came up Las Vegas Boulevard when I think on their way to the church, and people were just saying how they couldn't believe the camaraderie and the loyalty to each of them, you know, to each officer. The showing that was so extraordinary yesterday, and Dave, I'm sure you saw it. If you watched the news yesterday, it was on every channel.
Yeah, it was. I did see it.
Yeah, it was really, really fabulous. So,
were there more than one hiker? Did I understand there was more than one, or no?
I think there were two hikers, but one wasn't injured, the other one was. And I think that first one called, and I don't know the whole story yet, because again, they haven't let out too much information on it because it's under investigation.
I'll tell you this, and it seems like common sense, but if I were going to go hiking, certainly I would never, under any circumstances, do it alone. If I did it with someone else, we would both have cell phones, and if I did it with someone else, others would know that if we don't return by such and such a time, if you don't hear from us, send somebody.
Yeah.
Because time and time again, you see this over and over. I don't realize cell phones don't work necessarily, but it's a
cell
shock.
phones don't work in a lot of these areas, but I think there was a second hike. Well, and plus it was pitch darkness. I mean, this is the hardest rescue. First of all, the hardest rescue area, not to mention in pitch darkness. I mean, there is no light up there on those mountains. So, you know, you're talking about, you know, a helicopter hovering, you know, near a cliff and dropping down a line, and I mean, it's just these guys train and train and train. I mean, and the sad part about it was that a week before, this same guy had come to Red Rock Search and Rescue to our meeting. So we had just met this guy, And so that was why I felt like I had to be there and support the family and support the officers. And then also we had been invited by Search and Rescue of Metro to see the helicopter facility in North Las Vegas and what they do. I mean, it's extraordinary what they do and how they train, and they train continuously. I mean, just continuously. He had participated last year in, I think, 150 search and rescues on the mountain. So he was not inexperienced. And so we don't know if it was, equipment error or, you're moving so fast, you're in darkness, you think that everything is okay, and your goal is to get the person off the mountain, and, something tragic happened. But he died doing what he loved. So
I think there was a national story this week or last week that had, I believe, a helicopter rescue that didn't work as well. It was in a bad area, similar. And if I'm not mistaken, yeah, and the helicopter crashed. And some of these things are very dangerous to get people out of trouble.
Yeah.
And it's what it is.
And then that's just the normal terrain. Then add in their wind or thermals or anything else that can throw a helicopter off, and it's just these pilots and the guys that work on the team they're a very, very tight team. I mean, they live and breathe with each other every day, and their lives depend on it. They depend on each other. It's a phenomenal group of men that do this, and it was just extraordinary to see. I'd never seen anything like that in my life, with so many officers and so much respect and so much camaraderie. It was amazing. It was just amazing. And I'm sure every state around the country has the same thing. It was amazing to see. It was amazing to see. And help out. So, kiss an officer, kiss a fireman today. Kiss these guys that really, really are out there for our well-being. I mean, they're very special people that dedicate their lives to this. They're special. I mean, they're just special people.
Well, I mean, it was on 9/11, I guess, when a lot of us really, it really hit home just how dedicated these folks are. And the one comment that somehow it was put as all these people were running out of this building, there was a select few running into the building.
Exactly.
Boy, that quote or that statement really hit home. I really paused to reflect on that, and it does take a very special, courageous type of individual to do that to be in that line of work, or to volunteer for the military, or even in the times of the draft. Maybe you don't want to go to war, but you're called and you go and you serve and you're courageous, and just much admiration and respect for all of those.
Absolutely.
Hear the call of duty and don't hang up.
Yeah. There you go. That's a great way to put it. Yeah, they don't hang up. Yeah. So anyway, that's why I wasn't here yesterday. I apologize, and just felt like I had to do that, and I'm glad to be here today. So what's going on with the markets?
Well, quite a bit.
Just got a message here from Jason. Jason says he was doing nice on this trade on the bonds, and he's looking for where we're headed with this thing. And what I'm trying to, I think you're tuned in, Jason, is the bottom of this little box right here. Okay, that's where we're headed. The bottom of that box, if whatever profits you have now, I would suggest, because you've got to look left at this daily candle, that bottom is going to be important there, and that's kind of where we're at. Take some or all profit, and then by 133.19, try to be completely out of that thing. Hey, it looks like we're at 133.28 right now. So, in fact, by 133.20, let me encourage you by 133.20, because if we can drop another 8 ticks on top of what you've already picked up, it's stunning. So, good job. And I'll send you a copy of this chart. Anybody else that wants it, just put your email in the chat box, and I'll send it to you as well. All right. Looking at the news, David, anything big going on in your life you want to share with us?
Well, just being on the radio program here is big enough. That's news right there.
Big deal.
Let's see. There's a few things going on out there I wanted to mention. I mean, this isn't really so much news as it is ongoing stuff. You know, our president has been going around the country talking about how his main theme is that he wants income equality. He wants income equality. So, a long time ago, when he first went into office, there was a little interaction between him and the plumber. And he tried, I'm sure many people remember that interaction. And the plumber was complaining about the taxes, and the president said, well, it's not a bad idea to spread the wealth around. And at that time, nobody really knew enough about the president to know how he thinks, what it is that he believes, and he did a pretty good job of hiding for at least some period of time exactly what it is that his real vision is. It's been quite a while before you can really tell, at least for me, where he's going. What is he doing? And I've mentioned this before. The president is a political genius, but he doesn't know what to do with this country. He knows how to stay in power. He knows how to get the next bunch of Democrats into power. He knows how to do the cut and thrust of political war with the other side. He knows all the slick little moves. But he doesn't know what to do with America and America's problems. And some of the proof that that's the case is that everything he has done has not worked. And that's really a factual statement. He has worked tirelessly for his health care plan, which is nearly 70% of America is now against. They're inching in on that, depending on which poll you look at. It's going to cost tremendously more than what health care costs now. Does health care need renewal? Yes, it does. But his plan was jammed through Congress. It was scammed through to the American people. Nobody knew what it was. You know, the whole thing that we've talked about. But now we actually have him, instead of dodging his income redistribution-esque theory about how he wants, to him morality is that if you make more money than this guy, even if this guy isn't working or doesn't want to work, he believes that government has a moral responsibility to go take from you and give to the other guy. He's out talking about that. Now, he'll tone it down and say, I'm not just talking about income redistribution, but I'm also talking about opportunity redistribution. It all amounts to the same thing. For that person to have that opportunity, he's going to have to get them some money, because even if the person missed the opportunity of his own, he thinks it's the moral job of the government to step in and make sure that that person, whether he wants it or not, can get it. And so he's out now. I think this is very interesting. He's no longer hiding what his real vision is for people. He's a man who for many years dodged and weaved when he was accused of wanting to be an income redistributor. And now he's out having speeches about it, about how morally right it is. So he's out of the closet. As of the last couple of days, our president has come out of the closet, and he is saying, this is what I want to do. And you and I both know the government itself does not create wealth. In order to redistribute it, you have to create it. The government absorbs wealth. I don't know if you know this, but the government spends $108,000 per day? No. Per hour? No. Per minute? No. Per second. $108,000 per second the government spends. And he's looking for another $1 trillion now to further stimulate the economy, even though he's entirely blind to the fact that his own results, his own policies, he's the one in office, have not worked. Anyway, so I just thought it was interesting, just making note of it, that the president has come out of the closet. He has come clean, that he is in fact an income redistributor. He does in fact believe, and always has, that if you work hard and you have the fruits of your labor that in some way you've immorally hurt other people, and he needs to fix that by coming to you and redistributing your wealth to those people. And there you have it. Turn on your TV and listen to his speeches. That's what he's talking about. So I think it is interesting that we're at a point now where he has finally come clean about that. Like somebody denying that they're an alcoholic or something for a long period of time, and then now he's finally out doing that. Now maybe some of the listeners believe in that idea. You know, taxing people is a form of income redistribution, but normally taxes are supposed to be for government expenses and bills. Government has now taken on a whole new thing. Government used to be to run the military, build infrastructure, you know, have support programs for people who need it, and so on. We're completely in another universe with what government has envisioned for itself to be for the people. And now we're getting down to morality, that if you get ahead, you need to understand that you've somehow wronged people by doing that, and we need to correct that wrong by coming in and taking what's yours, what you've paid taxes on, and giving it to this guy or this group over here. That's where we're headed, and he's no longer hiding that. And I think that's a pretty dramatic shift in his behavior.
Why do you think he's doing that?
Well, number one, it's pretty obvious that he only has a few years left to enact policies that would do this. So at some point, he's going to have to come clean with that. He very cleverly shut down parts of the health care program that won't go into effect before the midterm elections. He's a genius politically, but he does not know what to do with America. It'd be nice to have a genius politically, or how about a retard, excuse the language, politically, but somebody who is a genius at knowing what to do with the country.
Yeah.
I'll take that over what we have now. So in the same way that the tin pot dictators of other countries, you know how to stay in power and have all the tricks and know how to get to their enemies and all that stuff, that's what we have here. He's brilliant at it, but he doesn't know what to do with the United States of America, and doesn't understand the economy, doesn't understand small business, doesn't understand a lot of these things, and yet he and his minions have put together programs that one after another turn into one complete fiasco after another, and we're about to do it again. So it's funny that it's unfortunate that we have to live through this and continue to suffer for another few years while our national debt, which under him has grown by $6 trillion, is going to grow to $10 trillion. And that's our debt. That's something we have to pay off. No one's going to forgive us that debt. And since government doesn't really create wealth, they have to come to the American citizens to go get that money to pay off that debt. My question has been, what did we get for that debt? Where are we? Where's the car in the driveway?
Yeah.
Where is the boat in the ocean? You know, what did we get for the $6 trillion? So maybe somebody can help me with that.
Great question. We had a... Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, all we did was we had a postponement of the inevitable. That's all we had.
No, actually, I would say not only a postponement, but an increase. It gets worse. It's like not going to the dentist. Now, if you had gone last week, you would have had this level of a problem.
Yeah.
But if you don't go until next week or the week after, now you have that problem plus this additional problem. And it gets worse and worse and worse. So...
Yesterday we had a spirited talk about manipulation in the markets, and can they be or can't they be, and so one of the listeners brought an article to my attention and asked me to please share this, so I will. Turns out J.P. Morgan is going to settle for $500 million, or no, $500 million, for manipulating the energy markets. And this is not a story I've been following. J.P. Morgan Chase, the Wall Street giant whose reputation in Washington has eroded in a matter of months, is now moving to avert a showdown over accusations it manipulated energy prices. I think this is a lot like the LIBOR thing. The nation's largest bank, which had previously clashed with its regulators, is seeking to settle with the federal agency that oversees the energy markets. According to people briefed on the matter, the regulator found that J.P. Morgan devised manipulative schemes that transformed money-losing power plants into powerful profit centers. The potential deal, the people said, is expected to cost the bank about $500 million, a record for the Commission, which has adopted a harder line with Wall Street over the last year. For J.P. Morgan, which reported a record $6.5 billion quarterly profit last week, this fine will hardly dent the bottom line.
This is definitely a form of manipulation, but this is a distant form. It's not directly related to them moving the market by buying and selling, which is my argument. They're moving the market by claiming something that was losing money is actually making money, and therefore investors get involved on some level, and so on. That is, straight out fraud to the investor, and then the markets do whatever they're going to do, and they hope that they move higher. That's a different kind of case, and I appreciate the person sending it in. My argument has to do with the direct ability of individuals in groups or individually to change the course of the market, where we have untold a number of examples where billions and billions are put in the market and it makes no difference at all. And like we talked about yesterday, not only do we have the problem that there are other interests in the market that are fighting those types of moves, but we also have the additional problem that over time that same movement, that same manipulation loses its ability to do what it might have been able to do at one point, if it could do anything at all. Because the markets do indeed adjust to strategies. And people talk about this a lot with long-time methodologies that have been out there. Elliott Wave is a great example where people will say, well, Elliott Wave used to work, but it doesn't work anymore because the markets have adjusted to it. There's too many people using it, as an example. That's a common thing that you will hear. And that plays into the idea that the markets adjust to a methodology or a technique, and that over time that technique tends to go away. My argument would be that the markets are as big as life, and they move and shift and change anyway with regard to methodologies and so on. And that thousands of people could have a methodology, and really the total amount of all those people having it, their trading could still add up to very, very little, number one. And number two, they're not all buying and selling at the same spot. If anybody's ever learned Elliott Wave, it's a very subjective methodology. And that means that everybody would be getting in at different points, different places, and so on, and effectively making a market. So, it's difficult to manipulate these, but what that article was really referring to was a fraud in an accounting practice by turning in something that's losing money into something that's making money, supposedly, claiming that to investors, and investors then go in and do something with that information. That's very different. It is still a form of manipulation, there's no question, but the argument that I'm making has more to do with the direct ability of somebody by buying and selling to change the course of the market, and I've got plenty of evidence that that's very difficult to do.
Gotcha. Thailand has banned the Bitcoin. Thailand isn't exactly known for its ethics. Sorry to our listeners in Thailand, I'm just reading this. But loose regulations mean that a nearly limitless array of goods and services can be purchased with cash and even credit. A currency like Bitcoin would only be necessary for the most heinous of exchanges. It's a bit ironic then that the Thai government is now the world's first government to ban the Bitcoin. Following a conference at the Bank of Thailand yesterday, the Foreign Exchange Administration and Policy Department voted to make the digital coinage illegal, prohibiting people from buying, selling, or trading Bitcoins for goods or services. Additionally, Bitcoins cannot be moved into or out of the country, rendering any current stockpile worthless. This is Thailand, but this is big news. The Bank of Thailand ended its dispatch with a promise to revisit the ruling in the future, though this landmark decision could prove to be the beginning of the end for Bitcoin. This is a little bit interesting. Now, Ackman, Herbalife. That was a big story. We talked about it quite a bit, and then we let it go. It's back. Anyone who thought Bill Ackman might have been cowed by Herbalife's big second quarter earnings beat Monday hasn't been paying attention to the billionaire's costly short-selling crusade against the company. This guy, I don't know. Every time the nutritional supplement seller has hit back at the hedge fund manager's accusations that it operates a pyramid scheme, Ackman has come back with a fresh salvo, and the company's latest profit report is no exception. After the bell Monday, Herbalife reported second quarter earnings of $1.41 per share that blew past Wall Street's consensus call for $1.19 per share. But ahead of a conference call Monday, Ackman is out with a press release calling into question the quality of the results.
What is
Ackman,
the symbol for Herbalife? I'm sorry.
It is, oh boy, HBL. Try that, David. See if that works.
Let's see, I'm not getting it.
Try HBLF. Does that work?
No.
Okay, let me tap this and I'll find it. This should bring me up a chart here. It is I know somebody in the chat room help me. Oh, HLF. Thank you, guys. Okay. HLF.
Thank you.
Okay, and now what it says here, Ackman has been waging a losing battle this year, dealt blows by rival investors Daniel Loeb and Carl Icahn. The former made a quick score on Herbalife after calling Pershing's thesis into question early this year, while the latter has engaged in an acrimonious battle with Ackman over the company and built a stake that makes him Herbalife's largest shareholder. Icahn appears to be coming around on Ackman, though. He told the audience at the Delivering Alpha conference in mid-July that he's grown to like his adversary. Anybody that makes me $250 million, I like. Icahn put. Shares of Herbalife. Now, this is by one of the wealthiest men in the world, one of the sharpest hedge fund managers out there. And they say it's not hard to be king in a land of one-eyed jacks, but I'll let that go for now. Here's a guy who has done everything in his power to drive this stock into the ground, yet shares of Herbalife have just about doubled this year and made a fresh move higher Tuesday morning on the back of Monday's earnings. The company will host a conference call to discuss the results. Oh, they already did that. They did that at 11 a.m. Eastern. And so, David, do you have a chart up on Herbalife?
I do. I'm looking at it, and Herbalife is trading at $61.11. Here's a really interesting thing. This, again, is a great example, not to belabor the point, but very powerful interests were involved. This guy that runs this hedge fund who was shorting Herbalife. He believes that Herbalife is a scam, essentially. He believes that it is breaking the laws and that right around the corner there's going to be a prosecutor, a federal prosecutor is going to come in and he's going to say this is a complete pyramid scheme. I don't know if anybody's mentioned to him, but that's already happened many, many years ago, many times. Herbalife's history is filled with prosecution and civil and other.
I remember seeing a guy testify before Congress in like the 80s or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Good memory. And this all has to do with the exact thing, the exact point that this particular hedge fund, short hedge fund, is making. And they believe that it's just right around the corner. So there's two things here for me. Number one, the market has gone in the past, year. From December of 2012, it was made a low of $24. Just this month, it has made a high of $66. Somewhere in between 24 and 66, this hedge fund guy went short, and instead of utilizing a stop or saying there is a place where I would be wrong, he's very emotionally, obviously, attached to this trade. He wants the market to turn. It has not turned. It has continuously gone higher. It probably will continue to go higher. You might see as high as 69 before all this is over. We're trading at 60 right now. This is not a person I would want trading my funds, because he is more interested in being right ultimately than he is in trading with limited risk. And I'll tell you something, the limitation of your risk is the same thing as making money, because if you don't limit your risk, you're going to throw away all the money you made. You might have gotten lucky and made money while your risk was unlimited, but at some point your risk is going to get tested and there's no limit there, and it takes all of your money away. So the limitation of risk is equivalent to you making money, because you're holding on to, you're stopping the loss. He's not doing that, and he has dragged all of his investors who are short his fund into this. And then thirdly, the final point is, this is another great example of a very powerful force saying, we're going to flood this market with shorts and it's going to go down. We're going to spread the bad news. We're going to do everything we can to get this market to go down, and all it has done is gone up. And a person could say, well, that makes an argument that the guys on the other side were the stronger force. And I agree they're the stronger force, but Herbalife was going to go up. Those guys didn't make it go up by themselves. That's just not how markets work. They were on the right side of the market, and the market went up. And it's hard for people to fathom that the winners and losers in the market themselves aren't the people who make the market move. The winners and losers are not the people who move the market. And it goes from the micro all the way up to the macro. Whole governments can't even move markets. We talked about this the other day, and I won't repeat it. But the point is that the market, we had a very powerful man, very powerful force, very big hedge fund, billions of dollars thrown into the stock to try to short it, and I wouldn't want to be a customer of that guy, you know, being in his hedge fund. No, they're going to turn. They're going to turn. I'm telling you, it's right around the corner. That's not good trading. You know, I'm going to be dead. I'm going to be right around the corner, if you know what I mean, by the time this thing turns. Little humor there. That's radio humor. Right around the corner. The guy that does the bodies. Okay, I'll shut up.
You did good. No, that
Okay.
was most excellent. Your point is well stated. One last little bit of news here, and we talked about this on the show, and how do they do this, and can they really do it, and do they get away with it? Class action suit filed last week in U.S. District Court for Northern California claims that consumers who buy Straight Talk cell phone plans aren't getting Straight Talk. The plans, advertised as providing unlimited data use, in fact have limitations, the suit claims. Now, you will all remember that some months ago I went over to Walmart, bought an Android phone, and in a minute I'll go in the other room and I'll grab it and tell you the make and the model number. It's a Galaxy something, I believe. I'm not sure. Let me grab it. I hardly ever even use the thing. But I bought it for $75. That was it. No contracts, no payments, just a fully functioning smartphone with the touch screen and all the bells and whistles and the Google Play Store and, you know, everything that an iPhone has, kinda, but it's not an iPhone, all right? It's an Android phone running on, I think, Jelly Bean. But then you go over to the other counter and you buy this little card for $45. Now, I did this in real life, and you guys went through the process with me. Bought the phone, bought the card, because right now my wife and I, to have I don't even think we have fully unlimited. I think I do because I'm grandfathered in. I have unlimited data. She doesn't. When we have limited talk time, I think 1,400 minutes, and we pay, for the two of us, we pay a little over $200 a month with AT&T. So I wanted to test this thing out. Could it be for real? Because maybe I need to change. So I went, got the phone, $75, done. Not $600, $75. Bought the card, $45. Scratched off the back, dialed up charged the phone, dialed the number, tapped in the code, and it worked just like it's supposed to. I used it for 30 days. I made a few phone calls. I did some web surfing, and it worked fine. And I thought that was just very fascinating that a person could have such a powerful computer in their pocket, bought and paid for, $75, and have unlimited use of the internet and telephone calls for $45 a month. The complaint against Walmart stores and TracFone Wireless, which jointly created Straight Talk in 2009, says the advertising claim is false and that customers are routinely subject to having their flows of data throttled or slowed, or to having their access to data terminated without notice. Throttling takes place, according to the complaint, when subscribers near or exceed internally established but undisclosed data usage limits, or when the strain imposed on wireless networks by peak data usage requires easing. The complaint says customers who objected to being throttled were blamed by TracFone service reps for having misused the data service without being told how they had allegedly misused it. As an example, the suit cites Northern California wireless customer Edward Tooley, who switched to Straight Talk's unlimited plan from a competitor's plan that expressly limited him to 2.5 gigs of high-speed data, above which ceiling his data would be throttled. He used his Straight Talk plan to access email, browse websites, navigate via Google Maps, occasionally stream music, and occasionally watch videos, according to the complaint. Within only a few days of having his service activated, says the complaint, he found his data being throttled to extremely low speeds without warning. His service later was terminated without notice. The suit claims there are enough Tooleys among TracFone's more than 23 million subscribers to constitute a class action suit. TracFone, it says, is the 5th largest wireless carrier in the U.S. Walmart, it describes as the exclusive retailer of TracFones. And the company's not commenting, and we talked about this on the show because I said this is like one of those things, guys, it's almost too good to be true. Now, I never was able to use mine enough to figure out if they would throttle me or not. I didn't get throttled. In fact, when I was at home, it wanted to jump on my Wi-Fi network, so I had to keep forcing it onto the wireless network, not my Wi-Fi at home, but the Straight Talk, because I was trying to see if, and I never did. But this is a big issue because the power of them being able to advertise unlimited data for 45, that's huge. Because if you go with Verizon or one of these other carriers, if I'm not mistaken, they charge you like $50 for 5 gigs of data. David, do you have a plan where you pay for your data, or Robin?
I'm on that same
No,
unlimited.
I got free unlimited.
Guys in the audience, do any of you know where you max out?
$72 a month, unlimited phone and messaging.
Okay, say that again. How much, Robin?
Around $72
Okay.
for unlimited texting and unlimited phone.
What about internet access?
Yeah, I have internet access.
Okay.
I mean, the challenge I have is I don't use the internet that much because
Okay.
it sucks up the battery. So I don't,
Okay.
I use it, but I don't get charged for it.
And now, what carrier is that with?
T-Mobile.
T-Mobile. And so they're telling you it's unlimited, but do you have any way of knowing if it truly is unlimited?
Yeah, my bill's the same every month.
No. But what I'm saying is like if you were to hit some undisclosed internal number they've arrived at, and a lot of what I'm hearing is from a lot of companies it's 2.5 or others it's 5 gigs. Once you hit that mark, they claim unlimited, but they throttle you, or in the case of TracFone, I think where they messed up is they actually terminated some people.
Huh.
Because it's hard to prove a suit of throttling, but when
Sure.
you're terminated, that's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah,
Anybody in the audience want to
I don't
share
know.
what you pay for your data package with your cell phone? Anybody care to share that? I'm curious. And if you've ever been throttled or threatened.
Sounds nasty.
It is. Well, and it's not just the wireless cell phone companies that are doing it, but a lot of the cable companies that also provide internet service What's
Yeah.
that big one on the East Coast? I have Cox here, but
Yeah,
on
they
the East Coast there's a big one. I'm trying to think of their name. But they've been accused of this same thing.
Cablevision.
No,
It's
it's not
no?
cable. No, that's not the one I'm thinking of. Okay, nobody's sharing their data plan with me, so we'll move on to. That's all the news I've got. So if you guys are
Well,
ready to go to
they're,
markets,
they're also trying to get the cable companies to unbundle, unbundle the programming because they said,
Comcast. That's it. I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Comcast, there you go. Yeah, to unbundle the stations because, if you want just the normal stations, ABC, CBS, and all that, you've got to get the package. The package costs this, and it gives you all these other channels, and
Right.
so they're trying to get them to unbundle, which would be fabulous.
I've always wondered myself why they're able to say the term, because, advertising, you have to be very careful. The term unlimited is meaningless if you're going to slow down purposely a person's ability to utilize it. You are, in fact, limiting it. And their argument is we're not limiting you in how much you can use by a number. We're just slowing down your ability to get it. Someone's going to be nailing them on that. It is not unlimited. It is limited.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised. I'm sure there's probably something already underway with that as well.
Yeah. There is. This is a really big issue. Now, somebody, let's see, what do I got in the chat room? T-Mobile has 2 gig high speed, and then they throttle you. Someone else says that T-Mobile claims unlimited, but this person is saying that after 2 gigs, they're getting throttled. I believe, if I understood your message correct.
I couldn't tell if I was throttled or not. There's no,
Well,
You'll know. You'll know.
Really,
it's very
really
slow.
what
It's very
happens? What happens?
It's just
You
very
download.
slow. Like you
slow.
couldn't watch a movie. It would be too choppy to watch a movie.
Oh, is that right?
Sprint,
Oh, okay.
500 minutes, unlimited mobile to mobile, and unlimited data. Now, I haven't heard accusations against that. Sprint's the only carrier I haven't heard accusations against for throttling, but they do charge $100 a month for their unlimited package. So,
Well, this goes back to the all-you-can-eat sushi restaurant theme, where I told you this
Doesn't
story. I just
everything?
want to repeat it. Yeah, it all comes back to that. Everything comes back to this story, and I just want to tell it briefly, and then we'll get to the markets. It's very short. We have all-you-can-eat sushi restaurants out here. Some don't do it. Some do. The ones that do it have a big sign outside that says all-you-can-eat. And I was in one of them, and big weightlifter guys were coming in, and they were eating all they could eat. And they were ordering a lot of food. You've seen these guys. They can eat, and you need to get you need to get all your other tasks done during the day while they're doing that, because they're going to be there when you
you've
come
been
back.
here 4 hours. You go now.
You go now. So at the end of their meal, I just so happened to be there when I saw what I think is the most cleverest thing for a long time. And here's what I saw right in front of me. At the end of the meal, they got their bill, and instead of it being $21.95, like let's say that was the price for all you can eat, it was about $45. And so one of the big guys said, "Well, hey, this isn't right. It's $21 all you can eat." That's what I said. And the little sushi guy came up and said, "Yes, that's right. It's all you can eat, but I'm charging you the other money for what is left on your plate. It's all you can eat, not all you can put on your plate." And I thought, oh, that is very smart. That is very good. You better eat it, because whatever's left over, we're charging you for. It's all you can eat. God, I literally wanted to kiss that guy, hug that man that came up. That was so good. It was so brilliant. I just couldn't. I walked out of there as high as a kite thinking, these Japanese, they're pretty clever. First Honda, then the VCR, and now all you can eat. What a thing. So anyway, so that's very clever. That's a very fair thing. It's all you can eat. It's not all you can stack on your plate and throw out at the end. So.
Oh, that's funny. Now, John out in Knoxville, he says he's got 2 Sprint phones, unlimited everything, $150 a month.
That's a good deal.
I bet you I might have not left Sprint if they had been offering that kind of a deal. But you can't. John, can you get an iPhone on Sprint, or do they use Android, or do they have their own operating system?
You know, while he's answering, I just want to say these companies, they have a very interesting set of problems, like all businesses do. One of their problems is they know customers are going to leave. It's called churning. They're going to leave their company and go to somebody else. So the company has to make a decision whether or not they're going to chase down and try to keep the churners online, or if they're going to try to find the audience that will pay what they're charging for what they get and just leave and stay online. And they have to balance somewhere between those two, because it's the churning that really costs the company money. You sign up today, you're on for a month, then you change to another plan. That really throws these companies into a tizzy. Even though you're just one person, it's happening in big amounts, and these companies have to somehow come up with who is their audience. Who is the audience for Sprint? Who is the audience for AT&T? And they want long-term people. That's why you hit
those contracts, you know, the contracts that they try to get you committed to.
Sure. Well, they want, that's the proof that they want you to stay and not churn.
Stay.
So anyway, well, we'll get on with the markets, but just keep that all-you-can-eat story in mind, because I'm hungry right now. I'd like to pay $21.95 right now and get all I can eat. You leave food on plate. Now you pay.
You know, I got to tell you, just those all-you-can-eat places, Lord, I have seen some of the unhealthiest people I've ever encountered in my life in those places. And it's kind of sad and a little depressing. I don't frequent them. We have one, actually we have two near us. One is called a Jumbo Buffet. Yikes. The one is called, I forget. Anyway, it's really in kind of it's a freestanding building built on the side of a hill. And when you go inside, it's actually a little bit elegant with the chandelier and the whole thing. But it's got a smell. And we went there Friday afternoon. We're going to eat dinner there Friday night. It was hot outside, and we stepped inside. And in Phoenix, when you go to a restaurant, you know, as you're racing from the car to the building, you can't wait to swing open that door and have that cool air hit you in the face. No. They must have had that thermostat up on about 85 or something. We stood around for a minute, and I shook my head, and I go, you know, we're paying part food and part ambiance. Let's go someplace with air conditioning. And so we left. But then Saturday we ended up eating at the other buffet, the Jumbo, because the kids just love it. Because there's so much to choose from, and they can eat all they want, and so they love it. And we went, and I don't know. Are you a buffet guy, David?
Not particularly. I will eat at one, but and I do enjoy them while I'm there.
In Vegas, you can. Yeah, while you're there, it's the pain after you leave, right?
No. I mean, it's just if I happen to be there, I've enjoyed them. And when we do our seminars out here, I eat at the Mirage Buffet, and it's very good, and I enjoy the wide variety and all that. But I don't frequent them a lot.
Yeah. How about you, Robin? Are you a vegetarian?
No, I'm not a vegetarian, but I, you know, I've looked at the prices. I love seafood, so I look at the prices of seafood compared to the buffet, and I can get some good seafood at the buffet, and it's actually cheaper for me to go to the buffet than it is the seafood restaurant.
Interesting. Wow.
So I'll head in there just for, you know, I don't eat much because I have a lap band, so I can't eat much, but it still turns out to be cheaper than if I go to the seafood place. But I love seafood.
Now, Kevin says that Sprint has the iPhone. I pay $40 for my plan. Kevin, did you bring your own iPhone to Sprint? Or, because that $40, that can't be, how much did you have to pay for the phone? Maybe you already had it. And we'll wait for him to answer that.
See, that's the other thing. You know, you can't take the phone with you. You can't, you know, I can't believe that they haven't gotten after these phone companies for the racket and the cable companies for what they're doing, because they really are, you know, it's not even technical stuff. It's just air. You know, it's not.
You know, for me, a very interesting benchmark in my life, when my life found a level of stability, was in 1996. I have had the same telephone number since 1996. Through many cell phones and a couple of different cell phone companies. Actually, only two, Sprint, and then when the iPhone came out, I went to AT&T. So since '96, same phone number. I mean, that's a little bit remarkable in this day and age. People seem to change their phone numbers an awful lot. Now, I remember that my grandparents, in fact, I think we talked about this on the radio show not too long ago. My grandmother and grandfather on my dad's side, 404-595-4910. I mean, that was their number forever. My other grandparents on my mom's side, 404-595-2490. Those numbers are forever a part of me, and in my mind, I couldn't forget them if I wanted to. I grew up with those numbers. I mean, and it was commonplace, I suppose, for people to have a phone number their entire life. Now, my son Gabriel, when he turned 5 on his 5th birthday, I got him a Google telephone number, and I said, here you go, son, this is your phone number for life. All the days of your life, this will follow you, no matter what carrier you're with, or what handset you have, or what phone number they might assign you. This will be your number. You remember this number, okay, and everything will be routed via this. And he didn't quite grasp it at 5. Now at 11, he understands it, and he's like, Dad, that's so cool, you know. So, anyway, that's my cool dad story for the day.
Remember when we used to have the name in front of the phone number?
Oh, yeah,
Beacon
BR549.
Yeah.
From Hee-Haw, BR549. My head is so full of stuff I don't need. Anybody want some?
Isn't it amazing? It's amazing what your mind can hold on to, and it does hold on to everything.
Yeah.
It really does. It really holds on to everything. That's why we have to be careful what we put in there.
Yes, absolutely. All right, guys, let's do the markets before they riot on us.
Okay, let's go over. Dwayne, do you want to cover? Do you want me to get started on it?
S&P 500 E-mini futures. We just broke through that good support area I was talking about at the beginning of the show here, 1682/83. Yesterday it was good support. It broke through enough to give us a tweet good for 2.5 points, popped right back above. And then today, at the beginning of the show, we said we're going to watch during the show today to see what happens, to see if we can come down, challenge the 79. I said if we can challenge the 79, that opens the door for a trade. But the trade I'm really interested in is this one right here. And I'm just going to show you. This is the one I'm interested in here, guys. Not so much this one. This one. And I don't think we're going to hit it right away, and so in the after show I'll go into some detail and tell you why I like this, why it's important, and it's just a little lesson that you'll be able to carry on with you all the days of your trading life. But watch the box. If price does get into the box down here during the radio show today, then you can trade it with me. I'll be trading it down to the zone at 74. The top of the box, we'll call it 70. Let's see, we got a swing low here, 76.50. So let's go 76. We'll go 76 to 74. Let's do that. All right, David, it's all yours.
Oh, okay. We have a trade. If you will switch me over, it's real quick. I'll be in and out.
Here you go.
For today, earlier in the session, and you know we are starting to pick up some volatility right now. But on the left-hand side of your screen, this is a trade that we took today, and obviously not every trade is going to be perfection, but this one was. This is where we were selling this morning up at 1687. We had placed a sell limit. The subsequent swing high was 1687.50. The market declined. We got out at 1683.50. The swing low was 1683. So we picked up the difference between 1687 and 1683.50. A pretty short period of time, just about 7 or 8 5-minute bars, or however you want to measure it. But in this particular case, I'm displaying it on the 5-minute chart. And this is an example of utilizing reflected wave. This is how we got into this trade. This is how we got out of this trade. It was merely a timed entry trade. We weren't worried about price levels. We weren't worried about anything except the timing, for the most part, that would get us in at a particular time and get us out at another particular time. And it worked out very well for the subscribers this morning. We have a number of other trades that are in the works. This happens to be an intraday trade, but there's some other trades, and I do want to talk about them today as we go through this. And Dwayne, you can take that back. Let's get over to, let's take a quick look at the S&P on the bigger picture, and we'll go over a few of those other markets that we're talking about here. Let me know if you've got that.
There we go. I got it.
Okay, beautiful. So let's talk about real quick about the S&P. As you know, we've been talking on the radio program for quite some time now about the weekly top that the market is going to be putting in on the week of July 22nd. We've been forecasting that for a number of weeks after the previous bottom was forecast to be June 24th. So we are now in the 1 week late for this weekly top. Normally, we would expect substantially lower prices ultimately to occur. And although I do think there will be buying opportunities on the way down, I think once the move is really obviously underway, I think it would be wise for people to consider shorting opportunities rather than looking for long entries until the market has a very nice visible move down, something that's easy and obvious to see that it really is something underway. As it stands right now, last week did mark the top at 1695, and we're continuing to slowly, and again, this is weekly scale, so this is a very large time frame. It can take, a multi-week decline would normally occur here. Now, having said that, since we believe that that's going to be the case, if we're going to short the market, and some of our subscribers are already in the call positions, that means they've sold calls, looking for time to pass for the market to slowly move lower, and time is passing. But even them, no matter who gets in this, if something were to happen that would prove to us that we've got it wrong, that somehow some other force is at work in the market other than the one that we've measured that would normally take the market lower, we of course would stop ourselves out. And every trade needs a listed stop, an actually placed stop in the market at the time the trade is set up. So
otherwise it's not a trade.
It's not a trade, it's gambling. And so you do need to remind yourself, and I do this too much on the radio program, but it's human nature to want to let yourself get away with it. We don't like to let others get away with it, but we do like to let ourselves get away with it. And if you can just reverse that and let others get away with it and not let yourself get away with it, you'll be better off than the other people. It just won't feel so good, but you will be better off. So just keep that in mind. So we're looking for a continued decline, multi-week decline off of the high made in the S&P. And we'll continue to look for short entries, possibly some long ones prior to the bigger move getting underway. So that is the S&P for us for today. And there are a number of other markets that are this week appears to be a week of kind of turning the corner in a number of these markets. One of those markets may be the gold market. Gold has had a very nice rally from the June 28th bottom on the daily chart, and we're still up at high levels. We think there's a real possibility of further advance. So we may be taking advantage of that on the long side. I'd like you to take a look at your own work, whatever that work is, whether it's a combination of yours and other people's, or just whatever it is that makes it work for you. Take a look at gold, and let's keep an eye on it over the next day or so, because there is a possibility with the right indication that we could do something with gold on the upside.
You have rolled as of today?
We have rolled. So as we talked about yesterday, we haven't taken any new position, but
okay.
we've rolled the market. So keep an eye on gold. Let's watch this and see how this plays out over the next couple of days here. For the remainder of the week. We're on Tuesday right now. We also are, which we've talked about many times, keeping an eye on the U.S. Treasury bond market. This market is very interesting. It has a lot to do with your finances because it determines the interest rate that you pay on your mortgage and so on. It also determines interest rate on credit cards because they base their rate off of, in part, the 30-year U.S. Treasury bond market. So this market is very quiet today. They've had a little bit of a movement here. Our last trade in this market was a long trade heading up to 105.30. The market was not able to get through that. They did complete it, and we've had a nice move down here, and we're waiting for another multi-day, not an intraday, but a multi-day setup here, which may, by the way, occur into tomorrow. And so in order for that to happen, there are some conditions that we would need to be seen in this market in order to set that trade up. So for us, for the 30-year U.S. Treasury bond market, tomorrow being July 31st, would be the first point for us that we would want to take a look at this market for new outlook. Now, Dwayne, going back to gold here, what month did you roll into?
December.
Yeah, December is the correct month. Okay. Let's move on to beyond the Treasury bond market, the euro, which we're continuing to watch. I've mentioned this before, and because we do talk to a lot of traders, many of them are people that run their own funds. Many of them are ordinary day traders. Some of them are people of somewhere in between. But this market has made the dollar and the euro is the most volatile probably of most of the markets for this year and so far, at least in the last 3 months, 4 months, and back and forth all over the map. So some of that is tradable, but my belief is that this probably has been difficult for many traders to take advantage of correctly. And so we're using extra caution. We have traded in the dollar successfully, but we're using extra caution in both the euro and the dollar because sometimes volatility gets so big that even though we want volatility, it's like the Twilight Zone guy that gets everything he wants, and finally he realizes he's in hell. We get so much volatility that you can't actually trade it very well. So we've seen that happen. With regard to, let's move on quickly again to the crude oil market. Today, this is a very interesting development in crude. Today we're 1 day late now for what we would consider to be a normal bottom in the crude oil market. Excuse me, yesterday was 1 day late. That's what the important thing was. Yesterday was 1 day late, and we are now past that time frame. So crude oil is in an interesting position coming down from the 109 longer-term target that they completed. And this decline, although we're not in the decline right now, there is something potentially setting up for us right here and now with crude oil because of what they've been able to do on the downside. In short, they've moved through important levels that normally would not be easy to move through on the downside during this time period. That's the important thing. And because they've broken it during this time period, it can mean a much more important force is at work on the downside. The market is really a bunch of forces that take turns playing themselves out. And those forces have a function to them which that force can hit all at once and be expressed very quickly, or the force can be very slow and even over time, or somewhat even over time. Either way, once that force is identified, we want to be trading in the direction of that force. And so crude is giving that indication to us that we may be looking for even further decline off the 109 target. So we're waiting, and again, this is, excuse me, why I'm saying that this is a period of time for this week where we're seeing the markets in position that they're transitioning. Many of these markets are getting into transitions that may be working out to some really nice trades. A couple other markets I'll cover real quick here. One of them is our year and a half long favorite, Tesla, which those of you with reflected wave know that we had pulled back probably about 8 or so days ago, 10 days ago, July 17th, the market had pulled back and put in a reflected wave bottom on this stock. We had told our people that that was buying territory for a possible advance to new highs. The first target on the upside would be 127, which they reached, and then they jumped over that, and they've now actually reached again all-time new highs at 137.49. Today, this very day, they've made a new high, along with yesterday making an all-time new high as well. So those of you who are into stocks, we really love selling time premium on stocks. I think this is something that you should take a look at if you are of a mind to do so. And let's also take a quick look at the dollar. We can't cover every single market there is, but there's some key ones that we think are important. We had forecast back on the week of July 8th that we thought that the reversal that occurred on July 8th was important and would test 81.80. We reached that, and with that it would test that on the week of July 22nd. That's last week. They did reach 81.80, and they are firming up or attempting to firm up on that level now. So that's another important indication for us that we're watching. The completion of a number, you may or may not trade to it, we may or may not trade to it, but the fact that they completed is important. It tells us certain pieces of information. We can take that information and, like a good detective story, use that as a piece of information in the next trade. So one of the things that amateurs do is they, and by amateurs I don't mean to say that quite as facetiously as that might sound, but there is such a thing as being an amateur in anything. One of the things that amateurs do as a thing that they need to see and maybe pick up on is if they miss a trade, they often tend to get so bent out of shape over having missed that trade, it might go right to their number or so on, that they then forget to use that information, that even though they didn't trade it, the fact that the market did something important, they forget to use that information in their next trade. So the detective story isn't really following through. So an amateur is somebody who doesn't recognize that whether or not they made money, they can still use the information. I mean, you can graduate from being an amateur, I guess is a good way of saying it, by starting to use the information that even if you missed a trade, the market has given you, and let that information be another part of the next trade, and fill out the detective story for you that way. So you do need pieces of information to trade correctly. Obviously, things have to set up currently in front of you, and without that, of course, you would just be placing a bet. And of course, there are people who do that, and there are people who simply trade. Buy and hold is one such mechanism. And by the way, I just want to say I know people who have sat through incredible swings on buy and hold. It's not that they're a trader without a stop. They're literally that there's a thing called buy and hold. And that is where you're not trading with the idea that you are limiting your risk. You're believing in the market as a risk-averse mechanism itself. You're not taking little snips out of the market. You're believing in the whole market, and that whole market is ultimately going to have you going higher, even if you may have to wait 10 years. And I've seen statements, and I've seen people, and I've gone over their statements, where they have some people that are close to me, where I've watched things happen that would have made me want to jump out a window. And yet, because they're buy and holders, they just take it in their stride. And in the end, in many cases, it turns out okay, because the market, in fact, does tend to go higher over time. But it can, in time, have a very large pullback, which could take 10 years or 20 years. The market could have very little return for long periods of time, and we will see that at some point. We have seen it in the past, but we will see it again. And those periods, the market will be out of favor for a long period of time, because some of the corrections, when you go from 0 to, say, 16 or 1700 on the S&P, some of those corrections are going to be pretty big and pretty deep, and they're going to take some time. So we may come to a point where the S&P, the Dow, actually is in a corrective phase for 10 or 15 years, and buy and hold won't look so good. But it has worked really pretty good for for much of the last century. And that's where people got into that. But just keep in mind that you will see some stomach-wrenching things happen, and some of your stocks will not come back. Some of your, I'm assuming you'd be buying stocks. So just keep that in mind. There really were people that jumped out of windows, by the way. That's no joke. When the stock market crashed in 1929, it was recorded fact that people were so, there was a 90% drop in the index at the time. I don't remember what the numbers were, but people literally jumped out of windows. And that's a pretty sad state of affairs that somebody would feel that they had to do that. Obviously, it's not necessary to do that, but they could see no future, and the market had moved terribly against them. And so that's one of the things that either buy and hold can bring about, or trading without a stop. There's no need to ever get to that point in your existence where you have to throw yourself out of a window. I know I don't need to say that on live radio, but you know what? Unless you're a committed buy and holder, you better use stops, because or live in a windowless apartment. So you can't throw yourself. We have that out here, by the way, in Las Vegas. You can't open.
Have what?
You cannot throw yourself off.
Oh, right. Yeah. They make those windows so they won't open.
The windows don't open, nor can you get onto the roof. You are incapable of throwing yourself out of windows, and the reason they do that is because that has happened here in Las Vegas.
Sure.
Many times people have gambled substantial amounts of money away. They feel terrible about it. They're on alcohol or whatever. They're drunk, or they're not drunk, and they throw themselves out of windows. So that had to stop. That's not good for new business. Here are some of our recent customers. So they, they had to make it so that they couldn't do that. The old hotels had little balconies and all kinds of things you could go out on. Those days are gone. So anyway, when you come to Las Vegas, if I can just say this, having lived here out 30 years, give yourself a certain amount of money. I'm bringing $2,500 with me to throw away, to gamble with, and whatever I want. And if you'll just simply do that, then you'll never have that problem. It's just that easy. Okay, so let's move on real quick. How did we get on throwing people themselves out the windows? That is just, I don't know where you found me, but
It's amazing where your mind goes.
It is amazing where my mind goes.
It really is amazing.
It's a little much, actually. I do want to talk about copper a little bit also. We didn't do anything with it, but copper is also on its 1 day late for a bottom, but it broke through some relatively important levels, and we needed to see a daily close above certain levels today. We're not going to get that, nor are we in the trade on the short side. So we're going to continue to watch this. This is very important to us, though, what copper's doing. This is either one of two things. The copper market is either right now, and this is, by the way, September copper, it is either going down and literally going to break through and go way, way lower, substantially lower, or this is a final flush out for the longs before a really powerful advance begins. At this point, rather than guessing about it, let's see what they show us between today and tomorrow. But that's why this is the biggest thing in my life right now, is what is happening in copper. You would think it would be something else, like electric cars or something like that, but it isn't. It's copper. So by them doing what they did today, which is they're down $7 today, that's a big daily move for copper. This is very frightening to longs. So if this turns out to be, if they suddenly just start to look a little better and everything just kind of goes okay, we're going to be buying this, because I've been here before. I've been to this part of the river before. I know this part of the river. And if they show that, you'd be wise to take a look at copper on the long side, if they show that. I want to make it very clear, I'm not making a suggestion that anybody buys copper now so that you can get in early and get an edge on your edge. You do too much of that and you'll wipe your edge away. You will polish your edge away and you won't have an edge. So be very careful about getting an edge on your edge. Just wait and see what they do into tomorrow. We'll talk about it on the program. And Dwayne, for right now, I think that's everything that we really have to cover, just really quick on copper, one last thing I wanted to say is that those of you who have reflected wave, have been to the course, you also know that last week, July 22nd, was a weekly reflected wave top in copper, and so normally we would expect a decent decline. But there are other factors at work in this trade, and if people want to, they can come to our institutional professional traders meetings. It's actually called Williams Edge. We talk 3 times a week, and we go over these setups in detail, and we give you the emails with actual trade entries and stops given at the time. It's not, you don't want to report on where your stop should have been after the fact, right? It has to be given at the time of the trade. All of that information is given out, and if you're interested, you can give us a call, 888-231-4702. We'd love to have you in there. You can either participate and ask questions, or you can just sit back and listen and also get the emails and see if that's something that is interesting and helpful to your trading. So that may be something that you may. I mean, when I was just a little boy, my mom said, you ought to go to the Williams Edge meetings. They're very good, when I was younger. It's a joke because I had to be this age to be doing it. My humor has gone downhill quite a bit. I got that from Lance Burton, actually. Lance Burton used to have a show out here in Las Vegas at the, and Robin, I don't know if you ever saw Lance Burton over at
Yes.
Okay. Well, he had a part at one point in his show where he'd bring kids on stage, and he would give the kid his Lance Burton magic kit, and the kid would be all excited and go off stage. And then Lance said, well, I know how he feels because when I was young, my mom gave me a Lance Burton magic kit. So, there's no way he could have had a Lance Burton. So I borrow good humor wherever I see it.
I used to get good humor, but it was vanilla and chocolate.
That's very good. That's very
one.
good. Did you get that, Dwayne?
No, say it
The
again.
good humor truck?
No, she says I used to get good humor. It was chocolate and vanilla because the good
that's
humor
good.
truck. You would know. You're old enough to know.
Now, see, that was another oldie but goodie when you'd hear those bells ringing, and you'd go, Mom, can I have some change to get an ice cream? Remember
Right.
where the good humor
Yeah.
truck used
Oh,
to
yeah.
come around?
It's funny. We still have one in my neighborhood that comes
You
around.
do?
It was really remarkable to me. I heard the sound, and I thought I'd gone back 40 years. It's the same song.
Is it?
That's the sound. And the guy drove up in his truck, and, I wouldn't have my kids buy ice cream out of a truck in this day and age if my life depended on it. Because of how, not even Vegas, just people. Who knows who's driving the truck and what weird thing they have in their head and how many people they want to see sick and all that stuff. I'm sorry, but, it just is, it's not the sweet, innocent times that it was back then.
Unfortunately, you're right.
So,
Yeah.
anyway, I get all my ice cream on the internet. I'm just joking.
I scream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream.
All right. I think that's everything we've got going. Apple continues to advance. We're happy to see that. If we close real quick on the weekly chart of Apple, for those of you who are following, we had a trade in Apple that we're holding just a small amount of our position remaining. These are puts. This means that we don't really we get a little bit more for them going up, but not a lot more. If we close the week above 453, that would be a stronger position in Apple, and that would tempt us to continue holding, possibly now to expiration with these options, so into August. But that's not a sure thing, but I'm just letting you know that's what we're looking at for this market for Apple. If they close the week, we're trading at 454.33. If we close above 453, we think that is a stronger position, and we would continue to
Today's the
hold.
first time Apple's been above 450 since
while.
June 5th. Yeah, since June 5th.
And one thing I did want to talk about with Robin was her SodaStream International. This stock has had a mini crash from their recent high of $77.80. They made a low of $55. That doesn't sound like a lot in dollars, but it's a very large percentage.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
So we're going to keep an eye on that. So the question is, what do we do with this? Can we find?
It started out down on the day, and now it's gone positive, and it's back up to, it's trading now, the bid's 58.58. So it's had an interesting little.
Well, we talked about it yesterday, and we think
It's got to take out. See, there's a gap on the way down here. You see that little gap? It's got to get above that gap, and then it's got to get back above the 50-day moving average.
Yeah, yeah.
The other interesting story, Robin, for you and the ones you like is this Zynga.
Yeah.
They reported earnings, and
They were
things
negative.
suddenly do not look real good. Now, this thing broke down below the, look at this gap. We're talking about a stock that was trading at 350, and on the gap open after they reported earnings, they took them down to
Friday they
$3.
plummeted. Yeah.
200 period moving average. So now it's trapped, but on a daily chart between.
It's
Now this
running
goes
around
to that thing where
that $3.
you hear people say that. David brought this up at the beginning of the show. Sometimes people go, well, once everybody knows about that thing, whatever that thing is, it won't work anymore. Actually, my belief has always been exactly the opposite. The more people that know about it and the more people that are acting on it, the more likely that there's going to be some type of movement, predictable movement, that I can then make money from. Just like traders all over the world, this is certainly no secret, traders all over the world, hedge fund managers, institutional guys, I mean, you name it, they watch the daily chart, they watch the 50-period moving average and the 200-period moving average. There's lots of professionals in the world of trading that don't look at 1-minute charts and 5-minute charts and all that kind of stuff. They consider this intraday stuff noise and rubbish. It's literally beneath them. Those guys are all watching the 50 and the 200. And so when price does something like this, okay, when it gaps down on this bad earnings call, blows through the 50, there's guys all over that 200 buying that thing because they are quite certain with a high degree of probability that all the other people around the world who see this thing hit that 200-day moving average, it's a buying opportunity, if for nothing else than a bounce. Boom. You get a nice 2-day bounce, exactly what we got. Came back today to challenge the 200 again. If we can close positive today, and right now we're down, what, a nickel on 16 million shares?
Yeah, 4 cents.
Yeah, 17 million.
4.5, yeah.
If this thing, now you got that little tail right there, so that's worrisome, but this was a good setup. If we break the low of this candle, we'll go back to visit these lows potentially. Okay?
Yeah.
There is support at this level right here at 280. If we could get back above that 50-period moving average, this thing could shoot right back up to challenge these highs. So there, and this is a high-volume stock, 17 million shares today. There's a great trading opportunity here, guys, long or short, one way or the other. If you're looking, now I'm not recommending you buy a stock. I'm not a licensed stockbroker. I'm just pointing out that there's a tremendous trading opportunity it's in the process of presenting itself right now, and you're going to see what's known as a self-fulfilling prophecy. If it struggles at the 50, it's going back to visit the 200. If it can get above the 50, it'll go to challenge these highs.
Yeah.
That's just
and a couple more data points on this one.
Go ahead.
When it had the drop and it missed its earnings, it also announced that they would not be getting into the online gambling.
What's that all about?
Well, because I think this was not a bad idea. I think this was actually very good because they felt that they were diluting their core competency too much, and they're going to stick with their core competencies, and that's what diluted them from hitting their number. So I don't think that was a bad thing because
Can
sometimes
they sell
when
that license? Does that license have value? Could they be?
I don't know if it's a
thinking
license. I don't know exactly
I don't either.
what
I
the
don't either.
terminology or what that is that they have. But for them to refocus, I think that's a very good management decision. And I've been watching this for quite a long time, and my stop was at 330, and I was out on that, and I actually got back in again. I got back in again yesterday. Actually, I got back in again because it hovered around $3 for a very long time before. It's been here before. It did go down to around just above 250, and then it sprung back up again. So I have a little bit more confidence in it now that they actually made that adjustment, and it is a very heavily traded stock. It's a day trading stock, and I don't get too crazy about, you know, it pulling back that much. I mean, it didn't, you know, I think it's still got potential. I still think people are going to buy cell phones, and I still believe that there's a lot of cell phone business within China, and I still think that right after this they buy a cell phone, they buy games. I mean, I just have that logic in my head, and so I'm sticking with it. And I keep my stops in and my stuff in for what I need, and it's okay.
Soda earnings are tomorrow. That's from Kevin. And then let's see, somebody else, Chris said we should look at your Kong.
Yeah, Kong. I mean, Kong is just fabulous. I love Kong. Kong is fabulous.
Fay Ray would be so happy.
Yeah, Kong is fabulous. In fact, I was thinking about putting some cash in for that because.
Look at there.
But
what is it? $9? $8.60, $8.50.
Yeah, it's done.
And
nice.
how much volume now? There we've
50,
got 200,000.
Yeah, you don't have a ton of volume on this one. This is
now
not.
Think about that, guys. That's 200,000 is nothing to sneeze at. But we just looked at a stock that has 17 million.
Yeah, thing is a million. You know, typically if you're going to day trade a stock, you want it over 1 million shares a day. But this is not a day trading stock. This is a longer term stock. This stock.
This Zynga. I don't know what the outstanding float is, but part of this thing's trouble might be maybe they diluted this thing by issuing too many shares.
No.
I'll look into those numbers and see what the outstanding float is.
It's a little bit challenging when they're out of the country, because even if they have numbers, you don't know if the numbers are true or not. I mean,
if they've got to be registered on the
always, you know,
they've got to be registered on the exchange here. But if those numbers don't look right, then we have to start asking: is there possibly some naked shorting going on in this thing? I mean,
now what I do like about
has not gone away just because I quit reporting on it every day.
No,
it didn't go away.
Yeah. Now, what I do like about Kong is within, since around July 11th, it has maintained from 125,000 shares a day to as high as 585,000 shares a day. And it's been continually like on this slow grind up in share volume. And I kind of like that. That means more and more people are looking at it, but the volume has really changed to be more consistent as of July 11th. And the price at that time was $6.60, and now it's $8. And the close yesterday was $8.52. So, you know, that's a nice little move. So I kind of like Kong. Kind of like the Kong.
Got any quotes for us today?
Quotes today? Yes, of course. We always have quotes. Be kind to your firemen and your service providers that keep you safe. That's one. Here. Okay. I never hit a shot, not even in practice, without having a very sharp, in-focus picture of it in my head. Take a guess.
Tiger Woods?
Jack Nicklaus. Close. Very good. Very good. Ideals are like the stars. We never reach them. But like the mariners of the sea, we chart our course by them. Carl Schultz. If a man does not know what port he is steering for, no wind is favorable to him.
Very well said.
And one last one, don't leave before the miracle happens. There you go.
I have a quick little one. I just want to say I went, I'm not saying that the customer service in my stock brokerage office is bad, but when I went in the other day and asked the clerk to check my balance, she leaned over and pushed me. Guess you had to be there. All right. Check my balance.
That's funny.
I'm
Well,
gonna
that
have
just
to work on my word
Game.
things, David. I'm gonna compete with you. I can even
Okay.
compete with you.
That's
there.
good. Well, you're
Okay.
you're good at competition.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Dwayne, thanks for having us on the
Yes,
program
thank
today.
you.
Okay. Guys, once these guys leave, guys, hang out. I'm going to hang out for just a second here on the after show, and we'll go over this setup and why we did what we did. And David, have a great afternoon. Robin, a great afternoon. What's our topic for Friday for Coach's Corner?
I don't know. I'm gonna find something. I'll pull something out. But if you have a particular topic, feel free to email me rdcoach at rdcoach22@yahoo.com, and that would be great.
Guys, okay. All right, guys, do that. Now, also, on this Friday, every other Friday, we do Coach's Corner every Friday. Every other Friday is Releasing Kings with the author of the book, Releasing Kings. You all know him, partner, John Garfield. Now, he'll be here, of course, this Friday for Releasing Kings, but we've got a very special guest, someone who has been living, down under is not exactly the... Well, let me just share with you. Let me share with you exactly what he said. He's going to be on Releasing Kings with us this Friday. After almost 3 years of living abroad in 3 different countries, we've decided to move back to the States. We leave the Dominican Republic this Sunday and are heading back to our home just south of Charlotte, North Carolina. We left the United States to help people start businesses, and we're happy to say we have a solid coffee processing business in Costa Rica and a growing laundromat in Guatemala.
Wow.
Both of these businesses are owned and operated by men who have a heart for their communities, and portions of the revenue will be used to help the local mission work being done in these communities. Our family has experienced and grown so much. Our kids are bilingual, and we are so thankful the Lord opened the doors to do all of this.
That's
now,
fabulous.
This guy's one of our partners, and he's a missionary, but by definition, a different missionary than the ones we grew up learning about and reading about. He goes and he teaches the people to become self-sufficient. You've heard me talk on this radio program many times about how we've endeavored now for so many years to help Africa, and how, yes, we did help one life at a time, but on a grand scale, we got it horrifically wrong by just writing checks. And we're now attempting to right that wrong. We are working very hard on a number of economic projects, because we're understanding more now than ever, how important it is for a man to be able to be economically self-supporting, to not be dependent on some man from the other side of the world to send a check. Yes, they're thankful. Yes, they're very gracious and grateful. But we want those men to come home at the end of a week knowing they've worked hard, they've earned a fair wage for a fair amount of labor, they are providing for their family, they're being the husbands that God called them to be, the fathers that God called them to be. They stand upright, they hold their head high, they impart that into their children, and suddenly the world starts to become a little brighter place. So to you, Matt, God bless you, brother.
Yeah.
You are walking the walk. You're not just talking the talk, and I can't wait to have you on the show this Friday along with John Garfield, author of Releasing Kings. Friday is a big day, guys. Coach's Corner and then Releasing Kings. I'll see you all then. David, have a great afternoon.
Thank you,
Robin,
guys.
See you
Yes.
tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Take care, guys.
I didn't notice what time it was. All I know is that I fell in love with you. And if all my dreams come true, I'll be spending time with you. Every day's a new day. In love with you.
Okay, guys, that's going to just about do it for us. Man, life is good. Don't you just love to hear something like that? I mean, we all want to do good. We all want to help. We all want to make the world a better place. But we're not all able to get up and go. You know, sometimes our best effort is that we go to our job, whatever it might be, and we work hard, and then we're able to be thoughtful and generous with, you know, that which God has made us steward over. So for those who aren't able to get up and go, I certainly don't want you to think that I'm, you know, saying anything ill intentional. I'm not in, that's easy for you to say. You got to do what God's called you to do. Some are called to go, others are called to support those who are called to go. Okay? But this idea, this concept of stimulating the economy at ground zero, helping to build businesses in third world countries, man, if we'd begun a work like this, you know, 100 years ago or 200 years ago when we started just sending money and well wishes, I think the people there that we're trying to serve would be far better off today. But hey, you know, we're on the right track. And so we'll get to hear the story, what it was like to go, to set up, to not know, to not be sure. Are you hearing God? How's it going to turn out? You don't want to miss this Friday's edition of Releasing Kings with our partner Matt and author John Garfield. All right, let me get over to the chat box, see if there's any questions that I need to answer before we end this radio show today. Tomorrow we're going to have a live class at 4 p.m. Eastern. This is for people who are on the free trial. If you're not on the free trial, yes, you can still come, but understand that that's the level of the class, okay? It's designed for people who are on the free trial who are still trying to figure out the setup and, you know, what the different indicators are called and what is divergence in the context that we use it, okay? We've done 3 of these classes so far. 2 of them I videotaped, so and those classes are available. If you are on the free trial and you, obviously if you're on the free trial this week, you weren't around last week to attend those classes, send an email to support@cfrn.net. Dwayne, I'd like to get those free trial training videos. I'll send you the links. You can watch those this afternoon, tonight, and then be ready to participate in the live class tomorrow. Oh, wait. You know what? My wife mentioned to me something today that she needs me to do tomorrow, but I'm not sure what time. I may still be able to do it. If it's okay, here's the deal. If not tomorrow at 4, then Thursday at 4 for sure. I'm gonna try for tomorrow. Maybe whatever it is she needs me to do, maybe I can do that on Thursday. Okay? So, all right. So that's that. There will be a live class either tomorrow or Thursday for folks on the free trial. Folks, if you're on the free trial, you need to send me an email and go, hey, I want to see those videos from last week's class. It'll really help you get up to speed on the indicators, their names, how they work, what the trade setup's all about, and how the divergence works in the way that we use it. Okay? There's lots of different kinds of divergence, and you'll hear people talk about it when they're trading equities and options and all sorts of things. We have our own little unique take on it, and that's just how we use it and the term we've applied to it. So send me the email, support@cfrn.net. Now, back to this chart in front of me. S&P 500, E-mini futures. Let me go to the chat box first. Ken, I don't know if he expounded on his crude long or not. I don't know. Guys, did David ever finish up his talk on his crude long? I've got someone in the chat box asking me, and I'm just not sure. Oh, and Bert, I just got your message. Thank you very much. Bert says he'll join me for the meeting tomorrow. That'll be great. I really appreciate that. Okay, let's go back to this chart. We've got a weekly zone here at 1682/83. Let's go back to the Sunday night Globex Open, which was here, July 28th. This is Monday. I took the divider day from Monday off because I didn't want you to miss this tail on this candle. But at this point, I'm going to go ahead and just put it back on. Okay. July 28th. So here we go. Let's get right on top of that thing. That's what I'll do. I won't darken it. Then you can still see it. Okay. So Sunday night, Globex Open, price comes down to the zone, 82.83. We go sideways for a number of hours. We take a dip yesterday, and it appears for all the world like we're headed down to the zone below. That is what happens once price is committed this much. If you go look at the historical charts, you'll see that a large percentage of the time, a very high percentage of the time, price will continue on at least, if it doesn't touch the zone, it'll come within a few ticks. Okay? Those of you that have been around, you know what I mean. Those of you who are new to the show, just go to the blog and wander through some of the historical charts going back a few years, and then you'll see it as well. So this is when something out of the ordinary like this happens, because I'm the biggest plain vanilla guy in the world. Okay? I don't want anything different, anything unusual, anything abnormal. One scoop of vanilla, no swirls, no sprinkles, no nothing. Show me a way to get 2 points a day consistently, and then just leave me alone. Okay? Right? I'm just kidding. A little bit. It's a joke. All right. Now, price comes down. It gives us 2.5 points as the crow flies. We talked about that. There was not a slingshot entry on this trade. There was a beautiful trade. Right here, the exchange of power between the bears and the bulls. The bears took control on this tick, right here, on this tick. Bears took it and carried it from 81.25 all the way down to 76.75. This was the tweet at 79. 2.5 points of travel, but no entry. When the slingshot finally gets around to giving a potential entry, price pulls back to the green line, the BBC. Okay. We look down here. Do we have bearish divergence? Why, we do. But the color has changed. It's no longer red. It's now blue. Does that mean we don't have a trade? No, we do. But there's a caveat now in that we have to draw a trend line across these bottoms. And now what we need is a down close below the trend line. If this cycle line had remained red all the way across, then once we touch the BBC, all we would need would be the down close, which would be this red candle. See, this is how these tools all work together hand in hand. This changed color, so it puts us on high alert that we don't have the as full or as complete a high probability scenario as we might want to have, okay? And so now because this changed color down here, we've got to compensate for that up here if we intend to maintain our high probability edge. Remember, we only want to place trades that exhibit the highest probability we can find. So price change, colors change on the cycle. How do we compensate for that up here? By drawing a trend line across the bottoms and then waiting for a down close below the trend line. Well, we get a down close right here below the trend line. However, the step line has been pulled up into the green line, the BBC. That negates the trade. There's no longer a trade once that happens. Now, this could happen on a short trade, as it did here, or on a long trade. Once the black line is pulled into the green line, if you've not already entered the trade, you don't have a trade. The high probability edge is gone. And remember, the edge is all we have. We can't read the future. No man can know what's going to happen next. You might have a pretty good idea, and you might have a pretty good track record of being right a high percentage of the time. But if you'll read my last blog post, or the next to the last, I walk you through a scenario. The S&P 500 trades 1 to 3 million contracts each and every day. So we're going to look at a slow day of 1 million contracts. Now we're told that 70% of all volume in the S&P 500 E-mini is now machine driven. Okay? The high frequency traders, the HFTs, the quants, just for lack of a better term, just call it the machines. The machines are creating 70% of the volume. Now I can't know the mind of a machine. Maybe you can, but I can't. So that leaves only 30%. Okay? So if it's a slow day and there's only 1 million contracts traded and 70% is done by machines, then what's left over is 300,000 contracts. 1 million contracts, slow day, 70% done by machines, 30% done by flesh and blood traders. 300,000 contracts. The average trader, the average E-mini trader, now this goes from the guy working out of his bedroom to the guy up in a high-rise on Wall Street and everybody in between. The average E-mini trader will trade 20 contracts a day. So if you divide 300,000 contracts, that's what we're working with, okay? Divide that by 20, the average number of contracts traded each day by an E-mini trader, you're left with 15,000 E-mini traders, okay? All around the world, all trading for different reasons. Some trading 10 lots, some trading 1, some trading 101, okay? In order to predict the future, you have to know what every one of those traders is thinking. Not only do you have to climb inside the head of 15,000 traders and decipher their thoughts, which sometimes they can't even do, you've got to be able to analyze that information, compile it, and then arrive at some kind of a decision based upon what they're all going to do. Now, it's difficult for me to even know what my wife wants or what she's thinking, okay? Imagine that times 2. Imagine that times 15,000. Because see, every one of those traders out there making buying and selling decisions, they have a direct impact on your trade. Whatever their motivation is for getting in or getting out. Maybe they're getting in to open a position. Maybe they're getting in to close a position. Right? Some are shorting to open, some are shorting to close a position. Think about that. Now, what's the chance that for $99.97 you can download a piece of software off the internet that actually can go out and read the mind of 15,000 traders, analyze it, and report back to you and tell you what you should do next? It's not going to happen, all right? It's just not. So you can't know. So the best you can ever hope for is to have a definable edge in the market. If you'll just accept the fact you cannot tell the future, you cannot read the minds of 15,000 traders on a slow day. But what you can do is you can develop a high probability edge that when applied consistently over a large enough sample size can return some pretty good results. Okay? That's what we're looking at here. A high probability setup that not only gets you into a trade, but as shown here, will keep you out of a trade. Does that mean it's perfect? No. Does this setup get stopped out? Every day. Practically every day in every market that we trade. Because that's the truth about trading. That's what happens in the real world. Not in the fantasy world of websites and emails and all that stuff. In the real world, real traders really do get stopped out. Even the really good ones. Okay? So, let's go back to our hourly chart. We had a tweet yesterday that triggered and went 2.5 points, but it never offered a slingshot setup. Price goes back up to the zone, consolidates, okay, bounces, comes back down through the zone. Now, I want you to look at this because what happened here that was unusual and a little bit, I don't have an explanation for it, because once price goes this far, the high probability percentage is that it's going to continue down to the zone. It didn't. Heads up. Now look what happened over here. This is a mirror image of what happened here. Follow this because it's really important. What happened here is mirrored up here. Didn't quite get there. Didn't quite get there. So now we come back down to test this important area once again, 1679. What does price do? It spikes through it. Okay. But over here, we've got to look at this price. This has now become important. That swing low is 1676.50. 1676.50, okay? Now, why is that important? Well, it's important because people started buying yesterday at 1676.50, and they were able to run the market all the way up 1688. And what is that? 14 points? From 76 to 86. No, that's 10. 88, 12. So 12 points, roughly. 76, 86, 88. Yeah, about 12 points. Okay, that's a nice chunk of change, as they say. And so what do you think is going to happen as price approaches 1676.50? Well, exactly what we saw happen. Buyers are going to come in early. Well, why would they come in early? Because they don't want to get left behind. They know that yesterday this price resulted in a 12-point rally. They don't want to miss it today. If there's going to be a 12-point rally, they want to be in. They're going to get a ticket to ride, and they're going to show up early. What time did they show up? 1677 and a quarter. 1677 and a quarter. Nothing unusual here. Nothing really unexpected. Now, the part about it not going to the zone, that's a different issue. The issue I'm talking about is when price came back down and got in the neighborhood of 76.50, the fact that buyers stepped in at 77 and a quarter early to run it back up again, that comes as no surprise, which is why I said I want my short trade to be below this low. If buyers are coming in early to run it up, or even if they're going to come in at the same area and run it up, I don't want to get triggered in on a spike, okay, and have a false start and be stuck in a trade that's not going in my direction. So I came down here to 76, because 76 gets me 2 ticks away from this swing low, and it still gives me 2 points of room to run down to the zone. Okay, this box here represents 2 points, 76 to 74. 74, I want to be out because we have to expect that 73, 74 is going to be good support until proven otherwise. Okay. Now, buyers stepped in early. Well, what could we do about that? I'll show you. Go to your 4-tick range chart. Scoot over to current price action. Okay. Bears are in control, driving this thing down. Right? That look familiar? That look almost identical to the chart we just looked at from yesterday? Market has a very interesting way of repeating itself. Look at this. It's almost a carbon copy. All right? So, price comes down. Buyers come in early. Today they've got a reason. They're coming in early based on yesterday's price. And then right here, you can define it to the tick. The bears lose control of the ball and the bulls take control. Bullish cross. Price pulls away. Price pulls back. Number 1, bullish cross. Number 2, price pulls away. Number 3, price pulls back. Number 4, check for bullish divergence. Got it. Step 5, wait for an up close by the open of the next candle. Okay? I just walked you through this. This candle, the open of this candle is 1680.75. 1680.75. 1680.75. Okay? Now, we didn't have to guess if they were going to come in early. We waited and watched. Okay? We waited. Okay, so they did. They came in early. That's pretty predictable. Okay? Now, what are they going to do with it? I don't know. I suppose if they came in early, they're going to try to run it up again like they did yesterday. Okay. Well, based on that knowledge, do I have enough room overhead to run to get back up to my zone at 82.83? Well, let's take a look. There's 82. There's 83. We're getting in at 80.75. Wah, wah. That's kind of a bummer. There's not 2 points room to run. Everything came together stunningly. We suspected they'd come in early. They did. Slingshot gave us a trade. Yowza. But the final little piece of analysis, hey, we had the bullish cross, the pull away, the pull back, the divergence, the up close, got it all. The only thing we don't have is 2 points of room to run from the entry to the zone. We miss it by, let's see, 3 ticks. Yeah. We miss having enough room to run by. We would need to have our entry at 1680, not 80.75. Now, some of you are way ahead of me on that. You're going, well, all right, this thing just pulled back to 1680. Could I take that? I don't know. Could you? I'm going to leave you with that. Think about it, okay? And then bring it up tomorrow morning in the live trading room, and we'll talk about it, okay? You couldn't take this entry because you didn't have 2 points room to run. But everything else was in place. And the market got kind and said, yeah, you want 80? I'm going to give you 80. Think about this. I'm going to leave this chart up so you can see how it plays out, and we'll discuss it tomorrow. Okay? From Michael, crude putting in a new bottom, which is unexpected. Not in it this time, just watching. And then Bob Z says, the house is edge, as in the casinos. Yes, that's exactly what it amounts to. As a trader, you must have an edge. When you go into a casino, it's all in the book, Trading in the Zone. You can read it. I don't like the casino analogy, but boy, it sure works well. The casino has an edge. When you walk in, you know that the rules are stacked in the odds are stacked in the favor of the casino. That's how they stay in business. That's how they build those opulent buildings with all the bright lights, the free cocktails, because they created the rules and skewed the odds just enough in their favor to keep them profitable and to keep Joe from Omaha coming back, right? Now, as a trader, this is what's so beautiful. You get to write your own set of rules, just like the casinos were able to stack the deck to put the odds slightly in their favor. You get to stack your own deck. You get to put the odds in your favor. Well, gee, that must be pretty hard to do, or else everybody would be doing it, right? No, actually, it's not hard to do. It's not hard to create a set of rules that put the odds in your favor. What's hard is following those rules. What's hard is sticking to the plan. If you become a partner, you'll hear me talk about this a lot in the workshops. And it's also in our trading plan PDF that you'll download your first or second day as a partner. Stop festering over whether or not you're going to become a great trader. Don't even think about that. Focus on writing a good business plan and a good trading plan. They're two separate things, by the way. And on your trading plan and the business aspect, you could actually hire somebody to do that for you. Hire a CPA, hire an accountant, you know, give your spouse a job. The trading plan, though, even if it's just a mediocre plan, I mean, you want it to be as good as you can make it. You want to strive for excellence in every area of your life. God calls us to excellence in everything we do, in our ministry, in our jobs, as husbands, as fathers, little league coaches, whatever. God calls us to excellence. So you want to write the most excellent trading plan that you can. But don't worry about becoming a great trader, because if you simply become great at following your plan, you'll be okay. There's a high probability things will end well for you. But I'm going to tell you, that's where the traders who take the time and do the work, spend the 30 days to actually write the plan, they still struggle with following it, even though they wrote the rules. But you walk into any casino, I'm going to tell you something. If one of those blackjack dealers misses a lick on how they're supposed to deal and how they're supposed to hold on this or push on that or whatever it is they do, I don't know the terms really because I'm not a gambler. I'm not a card guy. I don't like the casinos that much. I take that back. I enjoy the celebratory air, perhaps. My wife, she likes to play like the quarter slot, Wheel of Fortune. I can sit there all day and watch her play. I get a tremendous amount of enjoyment watching her have fun. Myself, I don't care if I never pull one of those things again as long as I live. It's just not that. I just don't have an interest. So, but anyway. So, I do enjoy that aspect of it. But what you want is you want those odds in your favor. Now, if one of those employees, one of those dealers, if they don't do something just right, there's not even a second chance in most cases, so I'm told. They're bounced on their ear because that big old multi-million-dollar building and those hundreds or thousands of employees, their whole livelihood, everything depends upon those rules being followed to the letter of the law. There's no deviation. But yet traders, they just come in and, yeah, I've got a plan, but just start shooting from the hip. Yeah, if it moves, trade it. Click it. That doesn't end well. Never has. It never will. Okay? So, there is a way to learn how to trade for a living. And did I mention there is a way to learn how to get 2 points out of a trade? She said, you want 1680? Come here. I'll give you 1680. See what happened? $16.80. Where are we at now? 82 and a quarter. I love my job. Hey, where's my buddy Jonathan? I haven't seen him the last couple of days. Oh, if you live in the greater Phoenix area, that was a joke, by the way, about I'll be signing autographs. But my friend Jonathan, he's producing a play. His daughter's in it, her boyfriend's in it, and it's going to be at Phoenix First Assembly. I know some of you guys actually go to that church, so you're already aware of it. Let me just show you. Hang on. I won't really be signing autographs, but I do plan to try to go because my friend Jonathan's a great guy, great trader. Just, I mean, when you're encouraged to have good Christian brothers and friends, men of integrity that you can talk to and hang out with and just know that they're there for you if you need them, he's one of those guys. He really is, you know. So this is the play. Kristen, that would be his daughter. Okay, it's called Trapped, and all the information. Just click this, and it'll give you all the information. August 15th and 17th. Now they wrote this, written and directed by his daughter, and I believe Josh is her boyfriend. Okay, so I would love to see you there. And I would love it if you came here and just put in a little comment and encourage Jonathan. He's a good husband, a good father, a good Christian brother, and did I mention he's a great trader? He really is. Okay, so there you go. If you're not following us on Facebook, shame on you. Please go there, like us, follow us, whatever that is. They tell me it's important that you do that, so just do it. Same thing with Twitter. And the other ones, I don't think it's that important. Stock Twitch, you can follow us there if you want. The other one, what is it, Seeking Alpha? That one's kind of important, I think, so follow us there. But the Google Plus, that one's really quite important because on the Google Plus, when you, let me just show you. If you go to the Google and you say, learn to trade Emini futures and hit enter, and hit enter. There I am, and there I am, and there I am, right there. That's my smiling little mug, okay? And there I am again, and there I am again. Wow. I feel kind of greedy. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, God is good. Okay, and so part of that comes because you liked me on the Google Plus and on the Facebook and on the Twitter. Okay, so I appreciate it. I really do. Now, I make no secret that I earn a living running this educational business. Some of you might not know that. Oh, and I'm going to share with you a horrible email I got yesterday. So stay with me for a minute. This is interesting, but let me tell you this part first. I did CFRN, the original investment, taking it online, all the equipment, everything, back in 2005. I had a successful business at the time, 50 employees, you know the story. I funded and bankrolled a CFRN entirely out of my own pocket. And I did that for 3 years, I guess, 4, up until 2000, end of 2000, well, no, I guess about end of 2009. That's when we rolled out our educational business model. Now, you'll remember I was doing some soul searching, and I was going away to Machu Picchu down in Peru, go up on a mountaintop, and for those of you that don't know Machu Picchu, let me show you what you're missing. I don't think I have one of my own pictures handy. No, that's not true. I do, but it takes too long to drag them out. I went here, guys. I stood on this. Can I get a big picture? Let's try this one. I guess let me go find a different one. Yeah, this has got to have some nice ones. This is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, Machu Picchu. I stood up here. It's hard to imagine. I mean, it looks like a fantasy land, like, you know, could that really exist? Oh, here we go. That's pretty good, I guess. Can I go full screen? I guess that's as full screen as it gets. All right. So anyway, you get the idea. Beautiful place. So I went there, few years ago to do some soul searching, and before I left, I said, hey guys, when I come back, I may close down CFRN because I had invested a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of money in keeping it going out of my own pocket. But it had reached a point where it had taken over my life, and there was no monetary return. And people will say, well, yeah, you should have just, you know, well, and some of the people who really gave me a hard time, now believe this or not, it's up to you. I got a lot of hate mail from people who said, how dare you threaten to take CFRN off the air? How dare you not come on and do that radio show every day and bring the David Williams and all the other people on there to give us trading information? Some guy really got ugly. I think he was off his meds, but anyway. I said, you know what, any of you guys that want to come over here and pay the bills, you're more than welcome. But I wasn't going to ask, I didn't want to go that route, you know. I didn't want to be like the TV evangelist guy hitting you up for money every day so we can stay on the air one more day. I stood right next to these guys. And so this was part of my trip. I sat on the mountaintop, I meditated, and, you know, I didn't cross my legs or anything. When I say meditate, I just mean I thought about it a lot. I said, what are you going to do, Dwayne? And so we came back. We rolled out a business model, Michael and I. It's been very successful. Our partners are doing great. We've reached around the world and made a difference in a lot of lives. And so I'm so thankful and I'm so blessed. And I'm glad that God worked it out the way he did. And I'm glad that I didn't have to take CFRN off the air because I didn't want to. So anyway, those of you that are new, I just want you to know that CFRN existed before the educational business model. I'm not trying to justify the fact that we have a program that we charge money for. I'm not ashamed of that at all. In fact, I was just talking earlier about one of the biggest problems we have in Africa is that they've been trained for years to just sit back and wait for somebody to send them a check. When they're much happier, all men are much happier when they're productive and earning money and supporting their family in that way, in that manner. It's just human nature. That's how we're wired. That's what God calls us to. So anyway, so for some reason I started to tell you why CFRN came to be and how it happened, and then I said I was going to read you this ugly email I got from this lady, and I am going to read that. But anyway, it seemed like there was some other point in there. I don't know. If it's important, I'll remember it, I guess. Somebody's tweeting me. Who is that? Oh my goodness, Bert. Hey guys, this one of our partners, I'm not going to call the name right now because I don't know. I just got this news. One of our partners just passed away. That's the first time that's happened since, well, no, I've had friends. There's been friends of the radio show, but not an actual partner that I know of since we began the educational program. Hey, Bert, maybe if I can call you and you can give me more information when I get off the air here. And we'll discuss who it is and we'll do the appropriate thing. And because I want to ask you to pray for their family. But I also don't want to like freak somebody out that doesn't know, that might know this person, you know, because I think this is like a sudden thing. So it's not Frank, by the way. I know some of you have been praying for Frank who's getting served. It's not Frank. It's someone who's been kind of quiet and in the background. Probably most of you wouldn't be familiar with his name, but just let me be sensitive to the family and not bring the name up today, but tomorrow we will talk and we will share memories and we will just today pray for the partner's family who has passed away. Very, very sad. I had no idea he was even sick. So, all right, let me move on. Oh, I see somebody just put their email address in the Jim. I think I already sent you. If you wanted those videos, did you want the videos or did you want the bond chart? I had told you guys you could put your email in for those training videos for the free trial, and also if you wanted to copy the bond chart. So I just need to know which it is you want. If you want both, you can have both. That's fine. I just need to know what you want. Okay. So anyway, this trade here, let's walk through this again. No, let me read you that email. This is a mind blower. I get stuff like this all the time. Well, not all the time. If I got it all the time, I'd probably just cry. I don't know. That'd be horrible. I don't know where this lady came from, or why she would attack me the way she did. But anyway, I'm going to share with you. I'm not gonna call her name, of course. It started out, I got an email that it seems innocent enough, but I've been around this a while, and so my hackles go up pretty easy. I'm not even sure what a hackle is, but I know when my hackle's gone up. Got this email. It said, what is it? This is all it says. What is it that makes this a Christian network? I'm curious about this reference. Now, that's it. There's no salutation, no how you doing, no have a nice day. This is all it says. What is it that makes this a Christian network? I am curious about this reference. And so I replied and said, even though I had a feeling something was up, I just played it cool. I said, I called her by name. I said, our radio station streams Christian content 24/7. We hold a prayer conference call every day, Monday through Friday, where people from around the world connect and pray for one another. We're involved with missions to the least of these, both at home and abroad, as Jesus suggested. We open each day's live market broadcast with our good word of the day. Most of all, we love Jesus, and we want to do our very best to be a reflection of his love, mercy, and grace to a troubled world. Hope that helps. Blessings, Dwayne. So that's the email I sent in return. And now, about half a day went by, and I hadn't heard back. And I know that sometimes emails fall into black holes. So I sent a follow-up email that simply said her name, and I said, hey, I'm just curious, did I fully answer your question? Because I knew there was more to this, and I just wanted to cut to the chase and just deal with it. So I said, I'm curious, did I fully answer your questions? Blessings, Dwayne. This is the email I got back. Yes, I have to withdraw. I do not, this is all caps, I do not, all caps, participate in faith-based activities. I am an inclusive global person. I have no idea what that means. I abhor anything that mixes religion and spiritual and financial or other worlds. I abhor mixing religion and the state. So if I was Jewish or Muslim or atheist is of no matter. Hope Christ is on your side. This is the height of ignorance and arrogance. Carry on. I will unsubscribe. Thanks. What'd I do? Now, this is somebody that signed up for our free trial. Now, and they signed up via the Christian Financial Radio Network. I mean, kind of a hint who we are and what we're about. It's the first word in our company name. We don't ever, we don't force religion on anybody. We don't preach hellfire and damnation. And there's some who say we should. Now, we have sermons that stream 24/7 on the weekends. And there are sermons that you'll hear on this radio station that do talk about hellfire and damnation. I don't bring it up during the radio show, but it's reality, right? So anyway, from time to time, you're trying to do your very best in life, and somebody whacks you between the eyes with a 2x4 for no reason. So there you go. Am I still glad I came back from Machu Picchu? Yes. Am I still glad that I kept CFRN on the air? I really am. And I'm just so glad that each and every one of you are a part of my life. It really means a lot to me. I mean, you are, I mean, I have my God first, wife second, my children third, and then there's you guys, and there's the orphanage, and beyond that, there's my, church family, etc. If I were doing one of those little family tree diagram things, that's kind of how it would be laid out. So, anyway, all right, let me walk through this trade one more time. Price is coming down. We know that we had a tweet yesterday, went 2.5 points, day's pay, but it never gave an official slingshot setup. In fact, the slingshot kept us from getting into a bad trade over here where it wouldn't have gone 2 points. So, it goes here, bounces off the zone, and does a mirror image of this. This is unusual behavior in that it went more than halfway to the zone and didn't quite get there. Now, we're used to it occasionally getting within, like, a couple ticks, maybe even a point. But here we missed it by, what, let's see, 74, 75. This is a 2.5 point miss. That's unusual, okay? So we missed it by 2.5. And then we go over here and we do the identical thing, mirror image. Except we missed it by more than 2.5 over here. This swing high was 88.50. So 1.5 to 90. So this was, no wait, is that 2.5 as well? Wait a minute. 88.5. So it'd be 1.5. I guess that's 2.5 points too. So we missed it by 2.5 here. And we missed it by 2.5 here. Wow. That's even odder than I thought. Am I calculating that right? If I miscalculated that, somebody let me know. But anyway, so as price is coming down, I say, hey guys, if price gets down to this area here, we want to be short in this box down to the zone from 76 to 74. Why wouldn't I want to come in here at 79 like I did yesterday? Well, because the people who came in here and short-circuited this move, these buyers coming in at 76.50 had a 12-point heyday. People are going to come in early and try to do the exact same thing. They did come in early. We didn't get triggered into a trade needlessly. If we had gotten triggered in, we had exactly 2 points to run down to the zone. And if we wanted to trade this thing long, the slingshot gave us a beautiful setup, bullish cross, price pulls away, price pulls back. All we need is an up close because the cycle hasn't changed color. And we're getting in this thing at 1680.75. Uh-oh. Problem. What's the problem? Problem is if you buy the open of this candle, you don't have 2 points room to run to the zone. Oh, man. I wish I could have got in at 1680. That would have given me just enough room to run. Sometimes the market is remarkably kind. So the kind market pulls back to 1680, gives you a chance to buy a ticket, and then takes you right up to the zone. That's really nice. So, if any of you had an opportunity to participate in that, congratulations. Okie doke. Let's see. Bob Z says, no likey Facebook. You know, I hear comments like that, Bob. What's not to like? I mean, it's an inanimate object. I'm just curious. I'm not poking you with a stick. I'm just saying, what is it you don't like? People being all up in your business? Is that it? I realize that makes a lot of people uncomfortable. When it first came out, I thought it was the stupidest thing I'd ever heard of. People are uploading pictures of their lunch, and before you know it, I'm doing it. So, Jim says, thanks for the videos. I missed the bond chart. Oh, Jim. Okay, so Jim, so you'd like me to send you the bond chart? Okay, I'll be happy to. Rudy, I did send you the trading videos, so go check your spam filter or your promotions folder or something. Pete says that lady that sent me that email, maybe she thought it was like the Hans Christian Andersen method of E-mini futures trading. That's pretty funny. All right. I love you guys. You even have a sense of humor. Oh, I remember I started talking about, I make no bones about the fact that I earn a living now with our educational program. I have a dual income stream. There's trading, there's investing, and there's our educational program. It says right in the Bible, the laborer is worthy of his wages. Okay? So we'd still do the radio. See, now we're able to do the radio show into eternity, God willing, and it pays for itself now. The educational program, these servers and this bandwidth and this electricity and the air conditioning and all, it costs real money. Okay? Now I don't have to take it out of my own pocket. The station itself, so I think that's an awesome thing. And there's actually some left over to send overseas, to the orphanage, and to help my kids. You know, they like sleeping with a roof over their head. They get hungry 3 times a day, just like your kids. So every sage business legend, from Donald Trump to the sage of Omaha, will tell you that you need to have dual income streams or multiple income streams. Okay? Even if you work at an ordinary, I don't want to say ordinary, if you have a typical job where you go 40 hours a week, whatever the case, you should still try to put some money aside to have some other type of income. Whether it's, maybe you buy, a couple of apartments, you have some rental income, or it's just all the books you'll ever read about financial success encourage you to develop a second income stream. Everybody's life's different and all people are unique. Maybe you have a special talent for fixing computers. I don't know. Just throwing stuff out there. So you take in a couple computers a week and repair them at night or on Saturdays, and so you're able to bring a couple $100 extra into your household doing that. Or maybe you have some other unique talent. You rebuild carburetors. I don't know. You get my drift. Some way to create. So if something ever happens to one, you got something else to fall back on, right? So anyway, I'm done, man. I'm tired. I'm going to take a break, a well-deserved break. I hope you'll agree. I've been in this chair since the morning devotional, which, by the way, is 6 a.m. Arizona time. So I've been at it for 6.5 hours. Yeah, I think I qualify for a break, because Lord knows I got a long afternoon ahead of me. Kathy reminded me to put $5 in my daughter's piggy bank. Thank you. Yes, that was really sweet. Okay. All right, anything else, guys? Any final questions? Once again, this was just such a beautiful gesture on the part of the market to walk over here and hand us this trade. Lovely, I tell you. Absolutely lovely. You're welcome, Karen. Thank you. That's very kind of you. And you, Jeanette. I made this remark the other day on the show. I've been around trading for a while, and I know that it's typically a male-dominated sport or business. We have a very high percentage of lady traders, and I'm so glad to see that. And I think Robin does play a large part in that, because she's been around trading a long time, and she's a voice on this radio program. And so I thanked her the other day on air. In her absence, let me thank her. There's an old saying that, how does that go? Character is what you do when nobody's looking. Is that how that goes? Yeah. So I thanked her when she's present. Let me thank her when she's not present. all right, because I do appreciate her. And you know, I'm going to be honest, she knows this. Sometimes, Coach's Corner, we disagree a little bit on some of the questions and how to answer. I try to be very sensitive because that's her chosen field. I don't want to step on toes. But I also, you guys, your success, you know, your ability to learn to trade for a living, that's really important to me, okay? And so if there's something that I don't agree with, I'm forced to speak up, but I try to do it kindly and gently, and then I try to arrive at some place where we can amicably agree on that point, so that, you know, okay, I better leave it at that for now. Do you still post the podcast? Boy, that's a great question. Yeah, I do. I have like 10 of them uploaded. I just need to make live. And then I've got like another 10, I think, that I haven't got uploaded yet. And that's been our hallmark for 8 years. We've been a podcast a day. You know, nobody else did that. There are other people that do financial podcasts, but nobody was as consistent as we were, delivering the goods day after day after day after day. So the very thing that sort of defined who we were, I've gotten so busy that I've let that thing, that cornerstone, fall. And so thank you for reminding me. Thank you for not judging me. And Dwayne will work very hard today and tomorrow, once again, to get caught up. And I'm behind on a lot of things. I'm behind on returning emails. I'm behind on returning phone calls. And I'm not making excuses. I am thankful. Thank you, God, that I have more work on my desk than I can get done today. Because I know what it's like to not have work. And I would rather have more than I can do than to have none. And for any of you who are in the audience right now, and perhaps you're in that situation that you would like to work, but you don't have work in front of you, guys, if you join me in a word of prayer. Father, we come before you today, and we thank you for mercy. We thank you for grace. And Lord, our friend and our partner who has passed in this untimely manner, we pray for his family. We ask that you give them peace through this troubled time, God. Death is a difficult thing, but it's something we'll all face at some point in some time. For those of us who believe, and I know that my friend was a believer, he has a promise of eternity with you, bought and paid for by you on Calvary. So while we say goodbye, he says hello. He's saying hello to you right now because he chose to believe. Thank you for that, God. Father, for those in this audience today, or even those who will listen to this podcast down the road once I get it uploaded, I pray for their finances, Lord. Every man's struggle is a little bit different. We all think we're unique, yet somehow we're all so much the same. But God, I pray for their finances right now. If they need a job, I pray that you would provide a job, that the phone would ring today. I'm not asking for some maybe thing down the road, God. I'm asking you for a supernatural miracle today. Let their phone ring today so that they know it's you. It's not just by chance or happenstance. Lord, I think some people need to be shook up and reminded today that you're alive and on the throne. You're not some character in a storybook thousands of years old. You rose on the third day. You're alive. You're well. You're in control. Father, I'm asking you, boldly coming before your throne of grace and humbly asking that you do a miracle, that you provide that job, that opportunity. And Lord, help that person to see the opportunity, because sometimes we're wishing and praying for one thing and something else comes along and we miss it. I'm reminded of a joke. I'll tell it when I'm done praying. The Father just bless them, help them, set those phones a ringing, help them to be of good cheer. Because you warned us there'd be trouble, but you also said, don't worry. You said you have overcome the world for us. We thank you for that in Jesus' name. Amen. So here's the joke. There's a bad flood. There's a guy up on the roof, and this guy comes by in a boat, and he says, hey, man, climb on board. And the guy says, no, 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 no. God's going to save me. And the guys go, what are you, nuts? And so the boat goes, finally, because the weather's rough. And then a news chopper comes and hovers over this guy's house. They lower the ladder, and they say, climb up, climb up. And the guy goes, no. And the guy, what do you mean, no? The guy's on the bullhorn. What, are you nuts? And the guy's like, no, I'm waiting on God to save me. Now, you all know how this story ends. The guy drowns, right? Gets to heaven, high-five St. Peter, meets Jesus, says, I'm a little depressed. What's wrong? You're in heaven. Well, I was waiting on you to save me. Jesus says, I sent you a rowboat. I sent you a helicopter. What do you expect? Now, I know I didn't tell that exactly right. My stand-up's a little rusty, but that's why I prayed that whoever is waiting on that job or that opportunity, you might be so focused on praying for one specific thing that God's trying to, over here, knocking you on the head with this big old 2x4 of opportunity in some area you might not have even thought of, right? The mind is like a parachute. It's got to be open to work. So open your mind, open your heart, and God bless you. All right? All right. I'm out of here. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this. There is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.